Hello, and welcome back or welcome to Books and Crannies.
A book lovers podcast.
That's right. And we're sing-songy.
We sure are.
I'm Danielle.
I am Sarah.
And this is a book podcast.
Welcome back
With buds.
to
Chaos.
absolute
and books.
chaos.
Yeah. Y'all, guess what freaking time it is?
Oh my
Guess what
goodness.
freaking time it is?
Acco freaking math.
Acca freaking math. And not just any part of Acca math, but the end.
The end.
47 to 69
Chapters.
chapters. That amount of chapters in that range. Chapters 47 to... You know what we're saying, I hope.
Yeah.
We're wrapping it up, you guys.
I'm so excited.
Me too. I love this freaking book.
So
and this
good.
last section was like so delicious.
Ugh.
So freaking good.
So
I'm
good.
obsessed with it, and I feel like we need to dive right in. I can't wait
Absolutely.
any longer.
Absolutely. So grab a drink
Yeah.
and your favorite snack.
Yes.
And
I'd have a snack right now if it wouldn't bother people.
I wouldn't want to chew in people's
No.
ears.
No. Get some popcorn.
Crunch, crunch, crunch.
I would hate that listening.
Same.
Yeah, but
I
get-
would immediately turn that
Yeah,
off.
immediate no.
Yeah.
We won't do that to you, but you can snack.
Yeah.
You have that power,
Do it.
so you should.
Cozy on up.
Yeah.
And let's get freaking talking.
let's freaking talking.
Let's
do
freaking
it.
talking. Do
Absolutely. And you know what? We're starting off with a bang. We left you all on the cliffhanger.
We did. We did.
We did.
We did it a little bit on purpose.
A little bit. We took a break.
Yeah.
But we're back. And where we left you was right when the Spring Court Sentinels
Showed up.
showed up, Lucian in tow.
Yep.
And he said, Feyre,
Feyre.
is that you? As if he wasn't tracking her
Right.
to find her.
Right.
Relax, Lulu.
L dog.
Yeah, but this episode, we're kicking off. And the Sentinels are surrounding Feyre.
They are.
They are. And Lucian is, like, coming up, trying to touch her. And she knows damn well that as soon as he puts a finger on her,
One little fingy.
they're gonna winnow.
Yep. They're gonna winnow.
Winnow right out of there. They're gonna go back to the Spring Court
Yeah.
and return Tammy's possession.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Feyre's like, how the hell did you find me,
Yeah.
L dog?
Yeah.
He's like, oh, I smelled you.
I caught a whiff.
He was luck.
You need deodorant.
You stinky bitch.
He said they were tipped off first.
Yeah.
And then he was like, but also you're stinky.
Yeah. We were lucky to catch your scent on the wind.
Yes. And he keeps saying, come home. Come
Yeah.
home. Come home. As if the Spring Court is Feyre's home.
Yeah, and he tells her, Tamlin hasn't been himself since he left, and
Yeah, well.
he is distraught, as if that is her problem.
No, not even
In
in the
the
slightest.
slightest.
She wrote him a letter.
Yeah.
You know?
I told you I was fine, dude.
Yeah. Get the hell
Leave
out of here.
me alone.
And quit brooding and causing a ruckus. Because
Oh.
I'm sure
Oh, ruckus!
I'm sure you're destroying shit.
Yeah,
As
I'm
you're
sure.
known to do.
I would love to see what the castle looks like.
It's
the castle?
demolished.
Is it a castle?
In manor?
The manor, thank you. It is not a castle.
I mean, no.
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 I would love to see what the manor looks like right now.
Yeah, I bet there's just talon marks on all the walls.
I'm sure.
And
I
fucking
am sure.
broken furniture, etc.
Yeah.
And Lucian keeps telling her, Tamlin's so sorry. He realized he was wrong. And I literally wrote gag next to that.
Yeah.
Because, relax. One, I feel like Lucian, of all people, should know how fucked up that was and not take part, not support him and endorse him.
Yeah.
And be like, it's fine. Like, you can apologize it away. As if that's enough.
Right. And Feyre tells him, that stopped being my home the day you let him lock me up inside it.
Yeah. I mean,
did.
he did.
He just
He
walked away,
stood
told her to
by.
be patient. Are you kidding me, L-Dog? Come on.
Come on, Lulu. God.
I can't call him Lulu because that's what I call my cat. And I love my cat.
That's fair. Lupin?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I will.
That's fine.
For you.
I'll call him L-Dog.
You'll callable out.
Yes.
Anytime I say Lulu, are you going to think your cat?
Absolutely.
Great.
I do every single time.
That's perfect.
Yep.
Then you'll just have happy cat thoughts. But nonetheless, he keeps trying to corral her. She has, like, water behind her, a river.
Yeah.
So she doesn't have a lot of places to go.
Yeah. And she keeps, like, backing up because he keeps hoarding her.
Hoarding?
Hoarding?
I don't know if that's the word.
Not
but
the
we
word
can
I
run
was
with
looking
it.
for. He's
invading
hurting her.
Hurting.
That's the word.
That's good. It's another H
close.
word. Yeah, it was
Hurting,
almost
hoarding,
there. There's
thing.
an R. And so then Feyre, as she's backing away, eventually figures out how to winnow.
Yeah.
Right behind him.
Yep.
She winnows away, gets out of their grip, is standing behind him like, you dumb bitches.
You dumb bitches.
And good old Daddy Reese comes. He shows up.
Reese.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he doesn't actually... Yeah, of course. It's Reese. And he doesn't really actually have to say anything because Feyre shapeshifts.
Yeah.
She turns into demon looking. Wow.
Yeah, she like grows talons and
she
claws
looks like
and talons and claws.
Claws
and
wings.
talons.
Yeah. She looks like an Illyrian.
Yeah.
Is the vibe that I'm catching from that. And she looks dark and spooky.
Yeah.
She's like really embodying the Night Court in her shape-shifting.
And L-Dog is like, what the hell did you do?
Mm-hmm.
What happened?
And I want to read some quotes here.
Okay.
Because Lucian is like, can't be that bad. It wasn't, or...
Can I real quick interject here?
Sure.
When Reese first shows up, the first thing he says is, didn't the Lady of Autumn Court ever tell you that when a woman says no, she means it? And I was like, swoon.
Yes. Snaps.
Absolutely. Consent. Yeah. Consent is key.
Consent is key. But on pages 460 and 461, there's a quote that I want to read to you in parts. Lucian is pleading with her. He's like, we're not your enemies. Things will get better, essentially. And Anthe got out of hand, but you got to come back. Don't give up. And she says, you gave up on me. You gave up on me. You were my friend, and you picked obeying him, even when you saw what his orders and his rules did to me. Even when you saw me wasting away day by day. You saw what was happening to me, but you were too afraid of him to truly do anything about it. I begged you so many times to help me, to get me out of the house, even for an hour, and you left me alone or shoved me into a room with Yanthe and told me to stick it out.
Ugh.
Yeah. And I'm like, you did, damn straight you did.
You did.
I'm passionate. I can't even form words.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So Feyre's like sticking up for herself.
Yeah.
She has gained so much in this book. She's a completely different person.
She is a strong, independent woman.
Damn straight. With a whole court that supports and loves her and lets her make decisions.
Yeah.
Makes decisions for herself.
And Lucian, after her big old speech there, is like, well, the Night Court can't be any better. Mm-hmm. As if that excuses any sort of behavior.
I know.
First of all.
Yeah. I mean, they only know so much about the Night Court.
Yeah.
So they're assuming that she's being made to be a slave.
A pet.
Pet.
Yeah.
Another pet. Another pet. And another one. And when he says that, she like has this thought process about how Valaris is this guarded secret and she can't say anything. Like, I know she touches on that a little bit. Although I'm like, would you have, Feyre? Like, you're in a defense position.
Right.
I think she wants to use that as like, yeah, it's not bad. It's actually beautiful and wonderful. But remembers that she can't.
I have a quote written down that I want to read. Mm-hmm. After Lucian says, well, the Night Court can't be any better.
It's probably the same one I have written down.
She tells him, when you spend so long trapped in the darkness, you find that the darkness begins to stare back.
Yeah.
I liked that quote.
Me too. But the darkness staring back in this scenario, it's not a bad thing.
Yeah, no. I would love that darkness to stare at me.
Sure would. Y'all, I'm sorry. My God.
We are thirsty.
We're feeling some type of way.
Yeah.
But then
section,
I know.
It does that to you.
It's so good.
I turned into a puddle in a good way.
Yeah. Well,
that sounded much weirder than I intended.
She meant it weird, guys. I'm just kidding. But after they say all that, have their little interaction, Reese and Feyre get the heck out of there. They fly away. Mm-hmm. And Reese like touches Feyre's wings before they leave.
Yeah. And she's like, oh.
Yeah, that feels like whisper in my ear. Uh-huh. And gives her a kiss on the cheek or something. Yeah. Like, he is very much fond of the form she took. Uh-huh. Obviously. But then they get to an inn.
They do.
A little inn.
It's a creepy little thing.
Yeah.
I don't like it.
No, bad vibes.
Yeah.
But the upside for us readers is that there's only one bed.
There is only one bed.
In one room.
They have to share.
They have to share.
Oh my god.
Yeah. And when they get into this, she starts comparing Tamlin and Rhys. Mm-hmm. And I have a quote written down if you want me to read it.
Sure.
But I feel like it was such good reflection on her part. And also she's obviously in love with the man.
Oh, of course.
But it was just, it struck true. It was good growing. She just continues to do that. I'm so much more impressed with her in this book than I am the last. Let's be real. By the end.
Yeah. For sure.
But on page 467, she says, Fae males were territorial, dominant, arrogant, but the ones in the spring court, something had festered in their training. Because I knew deep in my bones that Cassian might push and test my limits. But the moment I said no, he'd back off. And I knew that if I had been wasting away and Rhys had done nothing to stop it, Cassian or Azriel would have pulled me out. They would have taken me somewhere, wherever I needed to be, and dealt with Rhys later. But Rhys would never have not seen what was happening to me. Would never have been so misguided and arrogant and absorbed, excuse me. But Tamlin is disturbed. Yes. He'd known what Ianthe was from the moment he met her, and he'd understood what it was like to be a prisoner and helpless and to struggle every day with the horrors of both. I was like, yes, find a man who treats you right.
Yes, absolutely.
Obviously not Tamlin, because they're not treating her like some little puppet pet.
Yeah. They're treating her like a human.
Yeah.
Who has
weird.
feelings.
Weird. Well, Fae.
Well, but you're right.
A person with their own free will.
Yes. They're also, I have a little quote I want to read too.
Oh my god.
There's going to be a lot of quotes in this section.
Yeah, we're going to maybe have to limit it.
Yeah.
Is there a limit? I don't actually know the rules.
No. So they're in the room and Feyre's just like admiring Rhys.
Yeah. Fair.
And Rhys tells her, I love when you look at me like that. And she's like what? And he says, I love when you look at me like my power isn't something to run from, like you see me.
I know.
And I love them so much. It's ridiculous.
Too.
I cannot handle it.
I know. The two of them together are outrageous. I can't with it.
Yeah.
And shortly after he says that to her, which, like, so cute. He notices her staring at him in a certain way. Mm-hmm. He catches the vibe. He's like, girl, I see you. And then she's like, so, hey, thought for a thought? Or, like, what's up? And Rhys essentially tells her, I want you so much I can't breathe. Uh-huh. Like, it's consuming. Yeah. I want you so bad. And she tells him that she can't stop thinking about him. And she's a liar and a whore because of it. Uh-huh. Because she still feels like she's betraying Tamlin in some way. Which
is disgusting.
I feel like, Feyre, switch that mentality. I feel like you should want, like, vengeance. Yeah. Not to step around his pansy emotional self.
Yeah, for sure.
And doesn't she tickle his wings at this point?
Yes, but there's some things that happen before all the things we just talked about that I want to talk about.
Sorry.
No, it's fine. I just keep getting a little lost in my notes because I'm too excited about this section.
I feel it.
Feyre asks Rhys if he thought that she would go with Lucien because she said at one point that, you know, she would go back to Spring Court so that they didn't have to go to war. Yeah. And Rhys's response is, I found myself deciding that if you took his hand, I would find a way to live with it. It would be your choice. And she asks, and if he had grabbed me? And he says, then I would have torn the world apart to get you back. I know. But that just shows, like, how much he respects her and the decisions that she makes. Right. And he is allowing her to be her own person. Yeah. And if she wanted to go back to Tamlin, he would respect that. I know. Even though it would destroy him.
Yeah, as we will find out in great detail. Yeah. But yeah, Zeus, my dog's in here and dreaming. That's a nice ambiance. Zeus.
Zeusy.
Sorry, y'all. You might just hear it. It's fine. But yeah, then they have the conversation about thought for thoughts. Yeah.
And they go to bed.
They go to bed, and Feyre tells Rhys that she wants a distraction.
Yeah.
Something fun.
Uh-huh.
And Rhys, like, noticeably sort of tenses up for a second.
Yeah.
But obliges.
Mm-hmm. He does indeed.
He does indeed.
They get into bed.
Yes.
And Feyre is shivering.
Are you?
I'm so cold. Rhys, keep me warm.
Cocoon me in your membranous wings.
So he does.
He sure does. And he feels around.
Uh-huh.
And, he gives her that release that she so wanted.
Certainly gives her a distraction.
Yeah. Are you going to look for a thing?
I'm looking. I don't know what it is. So we'll see if it's worth reading.
Okay. After he gets done distracting her.
Yeah, I'm not going to read that.
Okay. He talks about, it sort of calls back to the conversation about, like, using his tongue and how he wants to lick her. And brings up, licking, mutual licking.
I mean, I could read the quote if you want me to.
You don't have to.
He basically says, when you lick me, I want to be far away from everyone.
Yeah.
Because
I'm going to roar.
I'm gonna lose my mind.
I'm gonna cause a ruckus. and he also talks about how when they were distracting Care under the mountain, he just wanted her right then and there.
Yeah.
Like, he was ready and rearing. And then he was like, I probably shouldn't do that.
We all knew.
Yeah.
We all knew that you were ready,
it was no secret, my guy.
No.
Neither of you were hiding it well. But anyway.
Then they go to sleep.
Yeah.
And Feyre doesn't have any nightmares for the first time in a while.
And he keeps her cocooned in his wings the whole night.
Yeah.
She wakes up still nestled against him.
Yeah.
I know.
Very
Very
sweet.
sweet.
So sweet.
And then they wake up the next day to go train.
Mm-hmm.
And
Feyre asks him in the morning why he made the bargain with her under the mountain.
Yeah.
And he basically says, to piss off Tamlin.
Yeah.
And because it was the only way I knew how to keep you safe.
He said a number of things.
Yeah.
I feel like she felt a little bit like she was used as a pawn in that scenario as
Absolutely.
well. Because it was for the betterment of everybody and sort of personal reasons and etc. And she says, like, a pawn in a game at one point. But she doesn't really, like, dwell on that thought like she has in the past. I feel like she sees Rhys in a different light now. So it doesn't matter so much, like, the origin story.
I don't know. I think that it stung her a little bit. Because
did.
They go the rest of the day without really even talking.
Yeah.
Like, they're flying places and just being silent and awkward.
Yeah, but I think that's also about the whole interaction the night before.
Yeah.
A mix of both.
Yeah.
Maybe it's like he gave me the distraction and used me as a pawn, and now it's this weird, awkward, like...
Now what?
Do we continue banging, or, start banging, or...
Yeah, I mean, they didn't really.
Yeah. What's the next step here? Am I mad at you or not? Rhys does, in that interaction, when they're sort of quiet with one another, says... Whoa.
Says.
Tells her that he wants to tell her a story. Like, there's a story he hasn't told her
I have
yet.
one more story to tell you.
And then...
And he's acting real sus.
He is. But he won't tell her yet.
No.
But then... this part...
I know.
Is upsetting.
Rhys gets shot.
Multiple times.
With ash arrows.
Poisoned ash arrows. Through his wings.
Oh.
Not those wings!
And I mean everywhere.
Yeah,
His whole body is just...
arrows.
Destroyed.
Yep.
And he,
like,
being
chucks her.
Rhys, uses his power to chuck her out of the way of all these flying arrows.
He throws her off into the forest.
And just, like, uses himself as a friggin' bait to keep them away from her. I know.
Oh, my God.
I know.
And then Feyre falls into the forest and, like, catches herself on an air shield.
She uses a shield.
A shield
what
again.
She used with Tamlin when he blew up the thing.
I know. She catches herself. She's starting to get good at, like, using her magic.
Yeah. It seems like she is only good at using her magic when there's, like, a crisis.
Panic situations, yeah. I mean, they have been doing a lot of practicing.
That's true.
So hopefully she's getting a better harness on it. Like, I mean, she can make water creatures in the bath, Sarah. Come on. Water zoo.
What a water zoo.
Yeah, say. Well, I don't know. I don't know if I do. Is that not
messy.
an aquarium?
No. It's very different. The animals at the aquarium are not made of water, Danielle. They are just in water.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Jeez
Louise.
Get it together.
Okay, I will.
How
try.
could you?
I simply don't know. But once Feyre falls and catches herself, she just is rage. She is so angry that they took Rhys from her. And scared for him, obviously.
Absolutely.
She's just pissed. And she starts winnowing.
Yeah.
Like, quickly and tracking. Because she's got those hunter abilities.
Mm-hmm.
And at the same time, like, can't feel Rhys through the bond.
Yeah, she's trying to reach him. She's like, Rhys, where are you?
Right.
I'll come save you.
Yeah.
And there's nothing.
Trying to yell through that shit. Like, give me a signal.
Nothing.
And so she's got to rely on those instincts.
Yeah.
That she used to freaking kill the wolf.
She also shapeshifts again.
Yeah.
Because it's dark and she can't see anything. So she shapeshifts to make her eyes like animal eyes and so she can see.
She makes her eyeballs different.
Yeah.
So she can night see. Night vision. Talks about all these like creepy crawlies that are on the ground.
Yeah.
Like big scary creatures.
Yeah.
That she does not want to encounter.
Yep.
And then winnows while tracking all the way into a cave. She goes to this cave where they took Rhys.
Yes. And she winnows in
Uh-huh.
past all the guards.
Yeah.
Oh, but before she goes in, while she's been tracking, she's been like collecting ash arrows along the way.
Yes.
So before she goes into the cave, she like makeshifts some fucking daggers out of ash arrows.
Which was pretty badass for Feyre.
Goes in guns blazing.
Yeah.
Knives blazing.
Knives a-blazing.
Yep.
She murders them all.
All of them.
Which I was very impressed with her in this
was too.
moment. And I'm sure that it was like instinctual danger.
Yeah.
Like her Fae instincts plus powers kicked in some capacity because of Reese dog.
Mm-hmm.
Like you couldn't ask her to do that just any old day.
No.
You know?
Yeah. The adrenaline,
And this is the, first time she's killed Fae since Under the Mountain?
Yeah.
But it wasn't even a thought.
No.
Because we got to protect good old Daddy Reese. And when she goes to release him, he has like chains all over him.
We forgot to mention, the only reason that she was able to find him because they took him and his clothes down different paths to like throw off the scent trail.
Yeah.
And she's like, but they didn't know that he smells like me and his clothes don't because he changed clothes this morning. So
He wasn't wearing them.
the only reason she was able to find him is because
He also
smelled like her.
Yeah, he hadn't bathed, so he had Feyre stank all over
All
him. And as we know, she's stinky.
As L-Dog let us know, Feyre is stanky.
Stanky is right. But when she goes to release him, he has all these chains.
Yeah.
They're like blue.
Made out of blue stone.
And they're really like icy, like wrong cold.
Yeah.
Like it feels evil.
Uh-huh.
And she ends up getting them off. Somehow. It just powers through that feeling, I suppose.
Yeah, she powers through.
And like,
unhooks him.
Yeah.
He's got 7 arrows still in his wings. They left him.
I know.
They took him out of his legs and his arms and stuff, but left the arrows in his wings.
So, yeah. Leaving him incapacitated. And he's near death. He can't move.
Still,
he can't do anything.
She still can't feel anything on the other end of the bond. Mm-hmm. She knows he's there, obviously.
Yeah.
But
he's breathing.
Yeah.
But she remembers a cave that they'd seen during training or something. And winnows them to that cave.
Yes.
So she's getting good at winnowing.
She is.
Good for you.
Yeah.
I want to winnow.
Yeah.
And
she starts painstakingly
taking the arrows out.
Cutting the arrows out. She can't break them because if she were to leave any splinters, they would never heal.
Yeah. And to distract him, she starts talking about her mortal life.
Yeah.
And mentions the dresser that she painted with the night sky and stars, etc.
Yes.
And there was a sweet quote. I don't know how many I should be reading, but I'm going to do it anyway. But it's like meant as a distraction, but it's also revealing. And Rhys has this reaction to it in this moment. But she tells him, I painted stars and the moon and clouds and just endless dark sky. I never knew why. I rarely went outside at night. Usually I was so tired from hunting that I just wanted to sleep. But I wonder if some part of me knew what was waiting for me, that I would never be a gentle grower of things or someone who burned like fire, but that I would be quiet and enduring and faceted as the night, that I would have beauty for those who knew where to look, and if people didn't bother to look, but to only fear it, then I didn't particularly care for them. Anyway, I wonder if, even in my despair and hopelessness, I was never truly alone. I wonder if I was looking for this place, looking for you all.
I have that one written down too, obviously.
Obviously. It's so good. And to that, Reese sort of, has a bit of a reaction.
Yeah.
I think. He lifted his head. He said, "You saved me." I don't know. But I feel like something sparks in him when she says that.
Yeah.
Because, well.
Come on.
Come on. Maybe that's true, Feyre. Who knows?
But then.
Yeah.
They go to sleep. Well, Feyre's like up all night worrying about the terrible creatures that are walking around outside of the cave.
He also mentions, though, that the chains that were on him were from the King of Hybern, and that they have the ability to nullify all of his powers.
Yeah.
Just tidbit.
Was that something they talked about just then?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I thought it was a little later, but...
Yeah, I was on that same page with the quote.
Okay.
But, yeah, he mentions that being a power of the king, which is problematic for sure.
Yeah. But then the next morning...
Yeah.
Feyre's, inspecting Reese's wounds, and they're not healing.
No.
They've, barely done anything.
And he's unconscious.
Yeah, and he's burning up. She says she, touches him, and it almost burns her skin. He's so hot.
Yeah. He's clearly has infection.
Clearly.
And is poisoned.
Yeah. So she bundles him up.
Yeah.
Takes her jacket, but leaves, everything else for him. Mm-hmm. And goes on a little hunty hunt. Who we gonna talk to? Who we trying to hunt?
Yeah. The cereal again.
Yes.
And I really love this interaction with the cereal. Too. She puts her cloak out as bait, which I thought was interesting. Did that ever get talked about before? Because I know she had, a dead chicken the first time?
Yeah. And then Alice told her, all you had to do was put a cloak out for her.
Ah, Alice.
Yeah.
Gotcha. She was the knower of all things.
Yeah. She was like, you dumb girl.
Yeah, stupid. You don't even need to steal from the kitchen.
Just leave
when
a cloak.
Everyone could see you and you didn't know. Just leave a cloak. So she catches the cereal. And he's like, ooh, it's a Feyre curse breaker.
Ha-ha.
What's good, lady?
Why is the cereal all of a sudden a gangster? What's good?
I don't know. That doesn't feel right, but that's what I went with.
I picture more of a...
He's...
Hello, Feyre.
I don't know if that's it either, but I liked it better. I was thinking creepier, but...
Well, that was what I was trying to do, but I was giggling while
Mrs. Doubtfire.
I was trying to be like a creepy old witch lady.
It's a lady.
Well, it's a man, obviously, but I was trying to sound like a witch lady, okay?
Okay. Anyway, it's a mashup of those two.
Yeah. A mashup of a gangster
and Mrs. Doubtfire. Somebody needs to make that movie.
Yeah. Anyways, the cereal tells Feyre that the poison on the arrows is bloodbane.
Yes.
And he tells her that her blood will save Reese because she has the healing properties of
all of the courts.
Dawncourt, specifically.
Oh, yeah. And to give him some pink flowers.
Yeah.
That you could find by the water.
Yeah, but when he tells her about the pink flowers, he says, if you wish to aid in healing your mate faster, you can feed him these flowers.
Yeah. And time stops for Feyre.
Yeah.
She's like,
excuse me?
What?
Excuse me.
Say that again. And he's like, the High Lord of the Night Court is your mate.
Uh-huh.
I just got chills just now. Which, y'all, come on. I mean, we get the whole story about this later on, but
yeah.
I was thinking of the moment in Akatar when he realized. Because she asked the cereal, does he know? And he's like, yeah, for sure. Absolutely.
She asks for how long. And he says, it's been a while.
Yeah, he doesn't give her specifics.
Well, he's going to, but she stops him, and she's like, no, I want him to tell me.
Reese has got to let me know.
Yeah.
But he's her mate.
Yeah.
They're mated.
They are freaking mated.
They have the mating bond.
Oh my God.
Which, Sarah, you absolutely threw mating bond in the last episode.
My bad. We warn you guys.
Yeah.
There may be spoilers
Slip-ups.
because of things like that.
It just made me laugh. My sister texted me and was like, ooh. And I was like, I didn't even realize. So if you caught it, good for you. If not, surprise.
You're welcome.
But Feyre's kind of pissed.
Yeah.
She's like, are you kidding me?
She is big mad.
You kidding me?
Yeah.
He didn't even freaking tell me, and now I have to go take care of his sorry ass.
This motherfucker.
How dare he? And
So,
yeah.
she goes.
Yes.
And she finds the weeds that she needs.
The pink weeds.
The pink weeds by the river.
Mm-hmm.
And she goes back to the cave.
Yep.
And I literally have in my notes, goes back to the cave. Big mad.
Big mad.
She is angry.
Mine just says F is pissed.
You also only write F? Because same.
F and R.
Same.
And then it's as and am.
Same. Cass.
Yeah.
King Hybern is KH.
That's good.
Yeah.
That's good. I don't write his name very often.
I have a lot of him in my notes, I feel
I guess maybe in the end.
But
obviously.
anyways.
So, God, we're all
The
over the place.
tangents.
It's okay.
This is too exciting. I can't handle it.
We need to get our shit together.
She goes in big mad.
Yeah, big mad.
And she just like cuts herself and she's like, Reese, all
Drink
pissed
this.
off. You're going to drink this?
Don't say a damn
Shoves
word.
her blood down his throat.
And he's confused.
He's like, okay.
I mean,
geez,
shit. She stuffs
sorry.
some flowers in his mouth.
Chew on this, bitch.
She's healing him aggressively.
I love you. Eat this weed.
Yeah. You better not die on me before you could explain yourself. And then she asks him how long he's known.
Yeah.
And he says it's been since Amarantha.
Yeah.
Like when he tried to kill Amarantha.
Yeah.
Is when he knew. When Tamlin wasn't doing much, but like sobbing and,
Yeah.
you know, Reese was like, I knew then. But that it clicked in place when he left her. After
on the balcony.
Yeah, on the balcony. When he just abruptly stopped a conversation and was like,
gotta go.
Bye. He tells her that Mor and Amryn know.
Uh-huh.
And she's kind of pissed
Cassian
about
and Azriel both suspect, he says.
But they don't know for sure. And she's upset because he promised that he would never lie to her. Mm-hmm. And instead of carrying on the conversation, she's like, take me to the Illyrian camp now that you're slightly healed.
Yeah, and I think she pushes him a little bit about, like, why didn't you tell me? Why didn't you tell me? And he's like, well, you told me that you just wanted fun and a distraction.
Yeah.
I didn't think you wanted a mating bond.
Well, and before all of that, too, I feel like he got the sense that it would feel manipulative.
Yeah, he didn't want to, like, pressure her into anything.
Right.
With everything she was going through with Tamlin and Spring.
Right. Because he's looking after your freaking well-being,
Yeah.
Feyre. I mean, it is a big secret to keep. And I feel like at a certain point in the last however many months they've been together, he maybe could have mentioned it.
Yeah, like he could have told her before he finger banged her in the bed in the inn.
Yeah.
Come on.
He could have. Come on.
You want a distraction? No better distraction than a mating bond.
Yeah. That might have been chaotic. But I feel like this is also just not a great way to find out.
Yeah, no, I feel like this is the worst way to find out.
Especially when she went to the Suriel for nothing pertaining to, like, a relationship with Reese.
she
to
wanted
save
to
his
heal
life.
him.
And then casually found out that she has a mate. But anyway, they go back.
to camp.
They sure do.
They do.
Mor and Cass are there.
I love that Feyre just drops him in the mud and storms away. She's like, fuck you. I'm glad you're alive,
can't even
but
look at you.
I cannot.
I need space.
Yeah.
And Mor comes to her and Feyre's like, you need to take me somewhere.
Yeah.
I want to be alone.
Please.
Just take me, please.
Right now.
And Mor, like, looks at Reese like, well, I can't leave him. But then sees how serious and upset Feyre is.
Yeah.
And I assume guesses, like,
Yeah.
what's going down.
I'm sure. Yeah.
So she takes her to the cabin. The cabin that's warded, and it's their, like, little secret getaway.
It sounds so beautiful.
I know, I want to go.
In the middle of some snowy mountains.
Yes.
Ugh.
It sounds amazing. And She gets Feyre all set up, tells her that the cabin will, like, provide her whatever she needs if she just, like, asks for it.
Yeah, she's like, you don't need to put any wood on the fire. It'll just keep burning until you leave. And
yeah,
if you need some food, just think about it and it'll appear.
Sounds nice.
Yeah.
I wish my house did all of that.
Really, though.
Cleaned itself.
For
Come
real.
on. Put new sheets on my bed every day. And before Moore leaves, she tells Feyre, like, he really wanted to tell you, and he's the happiest I've ever seen him when he's with you.
Yeah.
I was like, ugh. Even through all the turmoil they've been going through. Sorry, I smacked the mic.
And then she's like, I'll be back in 3 days. Bye.
Yeah, I'll check on you in 3 days.
Hope you're still alive.
And she's like, how long is this going to take? I think she says something like that, and Feyre's like, I don't know what she responds with. But Moore's like, I mean, there's shit going on, right?
Yeah.
Like, we have a war
Come on.
coming.
Get it together.
So, chop, chop. And then Feyre takes a bath, goes to bed.
She does. She ponders things a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Like wondering if Reese stopped the wedding for her or if it was for selfish reasons.
Yeah,
Like,
she has thoughts like that.
You know, she's his mate.
Right. Yeah, she starts thinking over all of his actions. But I think at the same time, she's also like, maybe I shouldn't have left him the way I did.
Yeah.
Like, I was kind of a dick too.
Yeah, she left
She's
him
almost immediately
after literally
regretting.
the night before she promised him she would never leave him.
Right. Yeah.
And then
she's
she did.
feeling bad about that.
Yeah.
But she's also in a remote location and does not know how to winnow far enough to get out. So,
Yeah.
like, at this point, she's trapped there for at least 3 days.
Yeah. She's also debating. She's like, can't decide if she hates Moore and Amryn for knowing and not telling her.
Yeah.
But she also kind of understands.
Yeah, she gets it.
Because they respect Reese.
She understands the whole situation. I just think it's a shock.
Yeah.
But she does start feeling sort of relieved at the fact that, like, because of this bond, her and Tamlin's relationship was doomed from the start.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? She, like, feels some relief in them not working out because she wasn't his mate, she was Reese's. And, like, that's a good justified reason to not be with Tamlin.
Yeah.
Yeah, it certainly is. Amongst many other things,
Yeah.
Feyre.
Yeah. That being, like, lowest on the totem,
Right.
I feel, honestly.
Yeah. Maybe the destruction of the house,
Yeah.
the locking you up as a prisoner, etc.
Especially locking you up as a prisoner.
Yeah, it's a big one. Big
and
no-no.
then just, like, everything else.
Yeah. Rude. There's many reasons that Tammy is
The
not
wedding
one for
dress.
you.
Come on.
Ianthe and him siding with her. Yeah, it's all gross.
Yeah.
But you know what? We're in bliss
This
right
is
now.
not about
This is
Tamlin.
not about Tamlin.
Don't say his name ever again.
That's right. We're going to have to. But but then Feyre starts snooping around.
She does.
Mm-hmm.
She finds some paint,
Knives.
knives.
Just rogue weapons
Yeah.
everywhere around the house. Illyrians and their weapons. Come on.
You gotta be able to, defend yourself if someone comes to your...
Toilet.
What?
I don't know. I was thinking of the guy off guard on the toilet. So maybe they have knives behind it.
True.
They probably do.
I was thinking more like if someone shows up outside of your highly warded cabin that they wouldn't be able to get into if you're in the bathroom.
Shut up, Sarah. Just kidding, you're right. Very good point. But yes, she finds paints.
Yeah.
That's the real moral of the story. She finds them and paints the entire freaking room.
The front room. Yeah. She painted the mantle Illyrian wings.
Mm-hmm.
Which, cool.
Sick.
I know. I want to see it.
Dope. Me too.
I saw this thing once upon a time, and I can't remember if we've ever talked about it, but I wonder if Feyre's actually a good painter, or if people are just like, yeah, way to go, you.
It's just like doodles.
Yeah.
No real depth. It doesn't look realistic at all. Stick figure wings.
Yeah. Yeah.
I like to imagine it's that now. Thanks for that image. She paints Amryn's eyes.
Moore's hair.
The hallway. There's
on the window.
bits and pieces of everybody in the house. And
Except for Reese. I don't think she's
Reese.
painted anything for Reese yet.
I don't know if it was mentioned, but Moore shows up.
I guess the wings.
Yeah. They're all Illyrian.
Yeah.
Moore shows up and is like, well, shit. You were busy.
Yeah.
And
And like See, a comment like that really makes me think she's like, oh, what did she do? It looks really great. Feyre, good job.
Nice job. I mean, Tamlin really liked her art, so maybe it is trash.
Yeah, I'm saying.
But when Morgan gets there, she like looks at all the painting. She requests that she put her eyes up next to Amren's, so that they're both always watching.
Yeah.
And then further goes, okay, we'll throw Cass and Az up there too, so we're all watching.
We're all
you.
watching over you. Yeah, which is sweet.
She's so.
I know. I love it.
This part is so good. This whole section. And then she gives her some updates. Nothing has been heard from Feyre's sisters.
Correct. Rhys is healing.
He's healing.
Okay.
And he's pissed.
Yeah.
That Mora hid her.
Yeah.
And she says some things about her role with the Court of the Nightmares. Court of Nightmares.
The ones.
Yep. And tells her that Rhys would just let her kill them all if she wanted to.
Yeah, she says that, like, Rhys gave her permission to kill her family.
Yeah, yeah. They're terrible.
If she ever saw fit. And she's like, in my head, I've always, like, decided I would let Azriel and Cassian do it as, like, a gift.
Yeah.
What better gift than murdering
my
these
family?
Terrible people.
They are really terrible. And, I mean, she's like, it'd be inconvenient for Rhys, but, like, he wouldn't do anything about it.
Yeah.
He would find a way to make it work.
Yeah.
She also talks about how she's never slept with Az because he doesn't think he's enough for her.
Yeah.
She's like, it's not me. That's the problem. It's him.
Yeah.
He doesn't feel like he's enough. I'm like, Az.
I know.
I love Azriel.
I love him, too.
I love them all. Who am I kidding?
Absolutely.
I was going to say I think he's my favorite of the two, Cass and Az.
I can't
But I
pick.
love Cass, too.
Yeah.
He's so sweet.
He is.
Cass is like big older brother.
Yeah, he has that, like, playful banter, especially with Feyre, that, like, just screams big brother.
Yeah.
And Azriel is, like, just the sweetest softie ever.
He's so sweet. And he's so calming and reassuring.
Yeah.
And I want to be their friends.
I do, too. I want to be a part of the inner circle.
So bad. Can someone
please.
make that happen? Or
please.
SJM, is this real? Or
can you introduce me to people just like these people?
Please.
Come on.
And
more than also asks Feyre, is it really so bad having Rhys as mate? And Feyre's like, no.
It's not.
It's not.
Of course
Damn
it's
right.
Not,
it's
Feyre.
not.
You can have a little time to digest and to freaking...
I was trying so hard not to make noise.
And you freaking set off the bells twice. It's like a gong. This podcast is nothing if not chaotic, so I'm
not
sure...
only the gong, but also the...
I think you hear our waters at least 3 times an episode.
I'm crying.
You're not even crying about the book, Sarah.
Okay.
Do you need a drink?
Yeah, I do.
Especially now. But yeah, it would not be so bad being mated to Rhys.
Yeah, no.
Feyre.
I would not be mad. Not even a little bit.
Mm-hmm. And then once more leaves, are you recovered? Debatable.
I'll survive.
Okay, I'm glad, because we need to talk about this.
Yeah, it's important.
It's very important. Once more leaves.
More doesn't leave. She stays. Oh, well,
no,
I guess she
leaves.
Leaves eventually.
She
but she stays overnight. They had a little sleepover.
Yeah, girl time. Do you think they did face masks?
Probably. More paints a little bit.
Yeah.
She paints some stick figures.
That are really derpy, and Feyre laughs about them.
They probably look exactly like Feyre's.
She copied it, actually. Line for line. Feyre then, after all of that, starts imagining her future with Rhys. Mm-hmm. And she's thinking about this cabin and how they spend so much time here. And, like, imagine summer times out here with Rhys. And thinks of Valaris's home and imagines that being her home. And thinks about the rainbow and opening an art shop.
Yeah, and she doesn't want to sell art. She wants to teach.
Right.
Other broken people how to, like, create art.
I know.
Out of their Brokens.
I know. Out of the brokens. And at the end of all of this daydreaming, she says, and I would fight until my last breath to attain it, to defend it. This future of theirs.
Mm-hmm. I know.
I keep getting chills, and that's absurd. But it's not, because it's amazing.
It's so
we all
good.
know it is.
But then, Feyre's like, it's been 5 days. I am sick of this place.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's a little knock on the door.
Yeah.
A little big bang on the door. And she's like, oh, great. More came for me. Just in time.
Yeah.
And she opens the door.
It's not more.
Who is it?
Daddy Reese.
Daddy Reese.
It's Reese. Maybe we should stop calling him Daddy Reese at this point.
I refuse.
I'm just thinking of Feyre calling him Daddy. That's kind of upsetting.
No.
Yeah, okay, just us. But anyway, it's Reese. Feyre lets him in.
Yeah. She, like, looks at him for a minute, and she's like, yeah, all right, come on.
And they have, like, a little bit of banter.
Yeah.
Casual conversation.
Mm-hmm.
And then she offers him something to eat.
Yeah.
And he's like...
When he first shows up, too, she's wondering, like, if he feels similar to the way Az does. That, like, he doesn't deserve her.
Yeah.
And...
You both deserve everything.
I know.
She actually says something like that. I wrote it down. But eventually. But yeah, she lets him in and she starts making him some food.
Yeah,
and
she's like, can I heat you up some food? And he's like, you're going to cook for me? And she's like, nah, I'm going to heat up food.
To be more specific.
Yeah.
And she's like, all right, I don't know the rules. Like, why are you acting weird about this?
Yeah.
And he's like, well, when a female accepts the bond, they offer food, and like in some scenarios for the mating bond, and in some scenarios they like do it with a big lavish party, and it's this like
it's
symbolic
like a wedding
move.
Yeah.
And she's like, okay.
She's like, well, talk to me while I heat it up, and then I'll decide if I'm gonna feed you or not.
Yeah, I don't think she says it, but like he picks that up from her mind. Yeah, their bond. And then he has a long story to tell her.
Yeah, this was a heavy
section. It sure was.
He tells her about being captured by Amarantha during the First War.
Mm-hmm.
And how
his dad saved him.
Yeah.
And he, since then on, because his dad was like an asshole about it.
Yeah, absolutely.
He like kept the ash in his wings and stuff for him to suffer. Like, how dare you be caught?
Uh-huh.
And so from that day forward, from that time when he got caught forward, he plotted his revenge on Amarantha.
Yeah.
He was ready to kill her. He wanted to murder her.
And he didn't tell anyone. He kept it all to himself.
Yeah.
He, tried to, like, break into her mind with his wiggle powers.
The first time she captured him?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And she was onto him. She knew what he was doing.
Mm-hmm. She had like warded against that kind of thing, or she
trained. Yeah.
But once the Under the Mountain times come around,
I guess this is what I'm thinking of.
Maybe
this is when he tried to break into her.
Yeah, but he goes to a party. It's the same one.
Yeah,
the same one in Akatar, where she captures everybody.
Yeah,
and he plans to kill her there.
Yeah, and that's why he's trying to break into her mind.
Yeah.
But she'd been trained, and so he was, like, so focused on trying to tunnel into her mind pieces.
Mm-hmm.
And he said, like, I was so focused on trying to tunnel into her brain, and there was no one there to smell my drink before I took a sip.
Yep.
And lo and behold,
he was cursed.
Freaking cursed.
With the freaking drink, which is rude. And he really, then he became Amarantha's whore, right? Mm-hmm. Over time. And he said he played that role really, really well.
Yeah.
Because he wanted her to believe him that he was enjoying it to some capacity too, all while plotting her death, every time they were together.
Well, and I didn't realize, and maybe we knew this already, but I forgot, like, Tamlin's father and Amarantha were friends, or tight, or they were, like, conspiring against something together. And so that's why she wanted Reese, because she was pissed that his dad killed
Tamlin's
dad. And so she, like, wanted revenge on his ghost.
Mm-hmm. that also brings back to mind when Reese first takes Feyre for the bargain and talks about, like, Tamlin has connections with the forces. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That also just makes a lot of sense come the end of the book.
Yeah.
Great. Noting that.
Yep.
Full circle. And then Reese says, 3 years ago, he started dreaming of Feyre.
Mm-hmm.
And this was when she was a human.
Mm-hmm.
He started dreaming of her painting. He started...
A beautiful human hand painting flowers on a table.
Mm-hmm.
And the flowers on the table were like her thing when she went to Spring Court. She always thought about the flowers on the table and if they were still there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That kept being brought to mind. He started dreaming better.
Yeah.
And when she came into Prithian, he, like, had another dream about her.
When he had the dream about her painting the flowers on the table, he said he pushed back a vision of a night sky with stars and the moon.
Yes.
And he was like, I don't know if she ever saw it, but...
That was her dresser.
The dresser!
Because she was like, I didn't even go outside all that much to see the night sky, so why am I painting this shit?
Yeah.
It's too much.
I know.
It's too much. But once she gets to Prithian, he has another dream about her, and he, like, notices that she's made it into...
Spring Court.
The Spring Court. I don't remember exactly what he said, but, like, that's what he gets, and he knows that...
Before that, he also... you remember the dream that Feyre had of Amarantha slitting her throat with the red nails?
Mm-hmm.
Reese knew when she had that dream. Like, he felt her dream and was jolted awake by it.
Yeah. Why did she have that dream?
I don't know.
I don't feel like that's surfaced at all yet.
I don't know.
As far as a callback.
I don't know.
But that's weird that he also was aware of it.
Yeah.
Why?
I wonder if it was... I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
It had to have been Amarantha, though.
Right.
There's no way it wasn't.
Described as her.
Yeah. I think Feyre even said the first time she saw Amarantha, like, that's who was in my dream.
I don't remember one way or another.
I don't either. I might be making that up.
But it had to have been her, and now I'm like, why is she dreaming about her? Because she had never seen her before.
Yeah. I wonder if it was her getting in Feyre's head, but she didn't know who she was.
Yeah.
So
or Reese was, like, sending images of her, and she created her own dream about Amarantha. Like, she subconsciously knew what she looked like, maybe, and caught the vibe. Maybe, like, Reese, saw some terrible things that Amarantha was doing, and it somehow was casted down the bond.
Yeah.
But she didn't register it, and it just created in her dreams this terrible scenario.
Yeah, so maybe she was also receiving his dream.
Right. Because Amarantha did terrible things. Probably slit a throat or two, at least.
I would imagine so.
This is deep. But once he realizes she's in Spring Court, he decides he's going to go to Calamine.
Yeah.
Calamine.
He makes an excuse to Amarantha.
He says he's going to get some intel.
Go get intel and see if Tamlin's conspiring with anyone.
Right. And then he goes on to say that after all of that, he didn't even know that she was, like, with Tamlin at that point. No. And when he came to Tamlin's house later on, when Lucien was glamoring her, like, he caught her scent and was like, what the hell? Like, my mate, which I don't know if he knew at this point or not.
Yeah, he did. I think he suspected, because he says, like, when he got onto Spring Court lands, he scented her immediately. Mm-hmm. And that's when he went and rescued her from the 3 dudes that were harassing her.
Yes.
And they, chatted, and he said, I've been looking for you.
Oh, yeah. So he did suspect.
And he was looking for her because it was the girl that he was dreaming of.
Yeah. I love this origin story.
I cannot handle it.
I can't handle how far back and deep it goes.
I know.
And that Reese is just kind of known this whole time.
Yeah.
But it's also being so kind and, like, he's not possessive at all, even though it probably destroyed him
Yeah.
to watch her be with Tamlin. But anyway, once he goes to the house, he knows she's there, confirms that much. And when he asked her about her name...
I'm sorry to interrupt you.
That's okay.
He took the 3 dudes that were harassing her back to Amarantha and, like, wiggled into their brains to make them confess to conspiring with Tamlin against her. So she killed them, and then he used that as an excuse to go back again to, like, rub it in Tamlin's face.
As
and
the threat.
When he
the
found
head
her.
in the garden man wasn't even necessary.
Yeah. Yeah.
The only reason there was a freaking head in the garden was so Rhys could see Feyre again, probably.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
He's doing the most.
I'm sorry I interrupted you. I just had to get that out there.
That's okay. That's a great point. I didn't even think about that too deep.
I got really into this section, clearly.
Quality. This chapter, 55, hits different.
Absolutely.
But he then talks about when he, like, asked her name initially and she gave Claire's name. Mm-hmm. He knew it was a lie.
Uh-huh.
And then I wrote down a page. I don't know why.
He also said that he decided in that moment when he went back the second time and realized that Feyre was with Tamlin, he scared Tamlin on purpose and did the whole, intimidation thing to make sure that Tamlin sent Feyre out of Prythian to get her away from Amarantha.
Yes. I know. He was playing the big bad wolf to protect her, even when he was perceived as evil. Mm-hmm. Back to the Claire thing. Oh, yeah, the reason that I underlined it is because when we were talking about this scenario, in episode whatever, second one, about how he, like, tickled her mind to show her what he could do. He says, I had your mind in my hands and you had the defiance and foresight to lie to my face. And I was like, he definitely knew that she was lying because we were both like, I don't know, he wasn't in there.
Yeah.
Like, but,
Yeah. I remember saying, but wouldn't he know that she's lying because he was in her brain? And then we were like, but he wasn't, like, in there.
Yeah, he wasn't, like, all the way in. He was just, like, tickling it. No, he knew.
Yeah.
He absolutely knew.
He for sure knew.
And he like, didn't really expect it to be a real person, he says, and when he had to kill Claire, or they brought Claire in, he, like, felt like shit about it.
Yeah, but he also went into her brain to make sure that she didn't feel anything when she died.
Yeah.
So
I just
she
want
wasn't
to read
in any
this
pain.
entire chapter to you guys.
I know.
So good.
So good.
So good. And then he goes on to say that when Feyre died, he held on to the mating bond as strong as he could. He essentially anchored her to this world.
Yeah.
Or to their world. He felt her slipping away and, like, held on to the mating bond. And that's why she went to him when she died. And I was like, oh, you saved her life.
Yeah. He also says, though, before Feyre was killed, Amarantha started to, like, suspect that something was going on with them, and she was getting real jealous.
Yes, yeah.
And so she made him, like, service her.
Right.
All night long.
All night. Extra.
The night that they kissed, because Tamlin was dumb.
Yeah, yeah. She thought it was, like, Rhys being jealous.
Yeah.
So she asked for the full service.
Yeah. And then Feyre died.
She did.
And Rhys pulled her back.
Yep.
But also, we learned in this moment that Rhys had to go into the minds of all the other 7 High Lords to get them to give her a piece of their soul.
Yeah.
To bring her back.
He made it sound like he talked to them mind to mind, but it didn't take much convincing. Like, they were already planning to, or were very willing as it was. Like, I don't think he manipulated them. He just talked to them mind to mind and was like, listen, y'all, she just saved your asses. Like, can we just do this? That's what it made it sound like, to me anyways.
I read it very differently, but...
Yeah, I don't think he, like, shaped their thoughts or anything. I think he talked to them.
Okay.
That's what it sounded like to me anyways. Tell us who's right. We can read it all over again because it's so good. And then the bond, like we said, snapped into place after she became Fae on the balcony. And then he said that he tried to forget about all this for 3 months. That's why he didn't show up initially after Under the Mountain. And he had planned to release Feyre from the bargain. Like, he planned to cut ties until the wedding happened.
Yeah.
And she was begging for saving.
We also learned that Mor was the first person to learn about Feyre being his mate.
Oh, yeah, because he got home.
He says, like, the first words he said to her after not seeing her for 50 years was, "She's my mate." Because he's panicking.
Well, he left abruptly as hell.
Yeah.
He had to get it off his chest ASAP.
Yeah. And he wanted to tell her.
His mind is blown.
He wanted to tell her on the balcony, but she was so sad.
Yeah.
And so he didn't.
Yeah, she was broken.
Because he's
a good man.
Perfect.
Perfect is right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, she was absolutely broken. I don't think she would have received that well, especially
Absolutely
after the role that he played in all of this. Like, she had to get to know who he actually was. And by the end of all this story, Feyre offers him the food.
Yeah.
He says he loves her. And she goes, "You love me?" And he's like, "Yeah, for sure, sucker." And she hands him the plate of food.
Uh-huh.
Accepts the bond. Oh, that was in chapter 55. This next one is, and this is the one I was talking about.
This is chapter
that is saucy as hell.
It is. I'm not going to talk much about this chapter because there's a lot of sauce.
There's a lot of sauce, but there's a lot of beautiful moments.
There absolutely is. And it starts with Feyre telling Rhys, I have a quote. "I love you, and I'd endure every second of it again so I could find you."
I know. And she goes on to say, or in that says, "I'm honored to be your mate." I'm honored. At the top of the chapter in my notes, I said, "saucy mating," with quotes, because, like, double entendre. Facts.
Yeah.
Facts.
And then they do some things.
Get saucy.
Yep.
They really go to town. And Rhys makes it a point to focus on Feyre.
Uh-huh.
And at one point, he gets on his knees. And she says, he won't kneel for anybody but his equal, his mate.
Yeah.
Kneels on those mountain and stars.
Yes, he does.
He sure does. And he does a lot while kneeling. And then during all of this, Feyre just keeps saying, "You're mine. You're mine. You're mine. You're mine. You are my lover. You are my friend. You are my mate." Which, of course, you're like, yes, you are. Which is just, it's such like it's powerful. This whole chapter is powerful.
Yeah.
Because, yes, it's very saucy and we love that, but it's like more than just sex. It's intimacy. It's this connection. It's them snapping the bond in place and, like, finding their true meaning, essentially. Yeah. After all of this turmoil and, like, crazy hardships that they've gone through together.
Yes, I have a quote that I want to read.
Okay.
Pertaining to everything you just said.
Great.
Page 533.
Okay.
Feyre says, "You're mine," dragging her hands through his hair and down his back.
A little bit more than that. I know exactly the quote.
"My friend through many dangers, my lover who had healed my broken and weary soul, my mate who had waited for me against all hope and despite all odds." Mm-hmm. I just love them.
I know. And then through the midst of all this continual
banging.
Yeah. Rhys says that he fell in love with her because she was one of them.
I know.
You were one of us. You weren't afraid of me.
Yeah.
He said something like, "You reminded me of Cassian." And she's like, "You fell in love with me because I reminded you of your friend?" And he's like, "No, I just knew that, like, you would fit in with them."
Yeah.
And that if Cass were there, he would have said, "If you don't marry her, I will."
Uh-huh.
We're just sobbing this entire chapter. And then Feyre counters with that she knew she loved him at Starfall.
Uh-huh. Which, remind me later, I want to talk to you a little bit about Starfall. We can make a theories video about it.
Great.
Later.
Sounds good. Okay. I'll try.
Cool.
No guarantee. I'll listen to this actually again at least once. So. But she also mentions that she thinks she knew it for quite a while. Yeah. Like, it wasn't just Starfall.
Yeah.
She probably knew it since she first saw him.
Yeah, but she was scared.
And she also felt guilty.
Yeah, about friggin' tampon.
About tampon, and her tampon. And that her, like, hesitancy had nothing to do with Reese. Like, it wasn't him.
No.
She said, it was all worth it. You're worth it. It's so sweet.
I was just blubbering over all these chapters.
I cannot.
Oh, man. And then Reese just throws at her. They're going to the estate tomorrow.
Before that.
Okay.
She asks, like, so what's next? And he says, well, you know, we could get married. We could, like, officiate the bond with the priestess. We could throw a party. We could, anything you want. And she's like, I wasn't talking about that, but that sounds really nice that you considered all these things. And then he says, we're going to the Queen's tomorrow.
We're going.
Yeah.
The Queen's finally wrote back.
Finally, these freaking queens. And that was just thrown in the midst. Because there's, like, it's very one-off. Because then
random.
they just get right back to it.
He's like, by the way, we're going to the Queen's. All right, let's bang some more.
Keep banging. Just constantly. And then they bang so much and so intensely that Feyre's glowing.
Yeah, she's literally glowing.
Her entire body has become a freaking light bug. What are they called? Firefly. Same thing.
Okay.
And she says, you might be looking up the same quote that I'm thinking of. But essentially, like, when they come together, she's driving out the darkness in Reese with her glowing light.
Uh-huh. Yeah, so Feyre starts glowing, and then Reese removes his glamour.
Oh, yeah.
So that she can see him.
Can you imagine how just much you would be destroyed by that?
No. Yes, I can absolutely imagine.
I was imagining.
So, Feyre says, as the full majesty of him was unleashed, he filled the room, the world, my soul, with glittering ebony power. Stars and wind and shadows, peace and dreams and the honed edge of nightmares. Darkness rippled from him like tendrils of steam as he reached out a hand and laid it flat against the glowing skin of my stomach. So they're like, I feel like they're complete opposites at this point.
Yeah.
Like,
what is this glow about?
She's glowing.
Forget.
It's from day court. Yeah.
Why do you glow, though? Do they glow?
I guess. When you have just been banged real good, you must glow.
That's how you activate the glow. What do you use it for, is my question.
A nightlight.
It's a hell of a nightlight. It would not even just be it'd be a day room at that point. Your whole entire body's glowing. Nonetheless, she's driving out the darkness with her glowing body.
Yeah.
And then the next morning, Reese tells her, like, this frenzy, it's normal.
Yeah.
Like, I'm going to be weird as hell for a while.
I'm going to rage anytime a man looks at you.
Yeah. And we're just going to want to constantly be on top of each other.
Yeah. Which proves true.
Yeah. And he says it's probably because, you know, you want to conceive.
Yeah.
It's probably because you historically want babies. And Feyre's like, hold up.
Eggs.
Is that something you want?
Yeah.
Because, like, I'll give it to you. Is what she thinks to herself. Yeah. Like, thinking that that's required of her as his lady.
Right. Required. Because women are property.
Right. That's what she's been trained to believe.
Absolutely.
And he's like, no, anytime you're ready. We don't have to do that.
And he says also, like, if it never happens, then...
That's good, too.
I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
And Feyre says, you know... I want to live with you. I want to experience things with you.
I want to have you all to myself.
I want to have you all to myself because I'm selfish.
Yep.
But eventually I would love to have a baby with you.
Yeah.
Basically.
Yeah.
So sweet.
Yeah, that happens.
Yeah.
After their banging getaway.
They gotta go.
They have shit to do. They can't just be banging all day, unfortunately.
They go. Them. To the camp. Back to the camp.
Yeah.
To get everyone else.
Yeah.
And when they show up, Cassian with his quips.
This is so cute.
I know. I love it.
He can tell. I mean, everyone and their mom knows that they just accepted their mating bond.
Yeah, they can smell it.
I'm sure they can smell lots of things.
Ew.
But Cassian knows, and he can see that Reese is, like, on edge.
Yeah.
He can see that he's about to rage, and so he's picking at him, knowing he needs to fight it out. And they just start, like, fist fighting, beating the shit out of each other. The other Illyrians...
Cassian says something like, Feyre doesn't look tired enough. Maybe I can take her for a ride. And Reese is like, rage.
I love that.
I know.
I love Cassian.
I love it.
They start beating each other up, and all of the other Illyrians like go to the sky.
They're scrambling.
They're just like,
yeah.
I think they're just hovering above them. Like, we can't be down there right now.
I don't want to be in the middle of that.
Which I thought was funny.
Yeah.
They're all these like powerful warriors, and they're like, no thanks, not to Cassian and Reese. But they fight it out, and Mor comes out in the midst of this and says, welcome to the family, to Feyre.
I mean, she was already part of the family. Yeah. Let's be real.
Truly. But now it's just official.
Feyre says, after Mor tells her, welcome to the family, Feyre says, and I thought those might have been the most beautiful words I'd ever heard.
Mm-hmm.
Like, she's just so happy and content now.
I know. And then once the boys are done fighting, they all go back inside, and Reese and Feyre see each other and have to bang it out again.
Bang. Everyone scrambles.
Everyone leaves the room like, yikes. I'm gonna go ahead and, But then they go back to the Valaris. And when they get there, the inner circle...
I'm going to read something real quick.
Is that what you're going to say?
I sure am.
Okay, I won't say it.
So, they're all sitting, waiting in the dining room for Feyre and Reese.
Mm-hmm.
And as one, they stood. As one, they looked at me, and as one, they bowed. It was Amren who said, we will serve and protect. And they each placed a hand over their heart, waiting for my reply. It was just like a sweet welcome to the family, and like, we love you and respect you. And
yes, and you are with our High Lord, and therefore we will die for you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love that.
I know.
I love that moment.
Yep. But then they gotta
go.
Head out with the orb.
Yeah.
Veritas. They gotta go see the freaking queens and their nonsense.
This shit.
I can't with the queens. They're idiots, man. They're so dumb. But
they are indeed.
They go on out. They winnow away. All together now. And the queens show up.
They do.
But it's only the golden queen. The, like, younger 30-some who look like more, kinda.
Yeah.
And the old one.
Eldest.
Oh, it's only two?
I mean, there might be more than one eldest.
Right. I think there were two old, two middle-aged, and two young.
That's right, yeah.
So maybe the two old ladies.
So there's three of them.
And the golden lady.
Right. Yeah.
They show up. And they're offended by Nesta's comments from the last time.
Yeah.
They're like, this bitch said some shit.
Yeah.
And I'm pissed about it. And Feyre's like, imagine how you feel about war.
Yeah.
Which doesn't help.
No.
The scenario at all.
Well, and before they pull out the orb too, Feyre tries to like convince them that her falling in love with Reese is proof of him being good.
Yeah.
But I'm like, why are they gonna even believe you, Feyre?
Right.
Like, how do they know that Reese isn't in your mind tickling your brain to make you love him?
I'm so in love, he must be good. You
should
believe it.
Look at me.
If you were in love with him, you'd understand. You stupid. You probably are. But he loves me. Anyway, I got...
You got really into that.
I couldn't tell you why. I'm losing it. It's pretty late, y'all.
It is. It is 11:30.
Hell yeah. Anyways, Mor then takes out the orb and has this quote. Let me read it to you real quick.
You do that. Please.
She has this whole thing.
Will you just read me the rest of the book?
Sure. We're going to stop giving you a synopsis, y'all.
We're just going to read to you.
Yeah, from here on out. I'm just kidding. I don't think we're allowed to do that. I don't know if you could read entire books on the internet.
Probably not.
Anyways, Mor, when she pulls out the orb, she lifted the orb from its velvet nest. It was no larger than a ripe apple and fit within her cupped palms as if her entire body, her entire being had been molded for it. Truth is deadly. Truth is freedom. Truth can break and mend and bind. The Veritas hold in it the truth of the world. I am the Morgan, she said, her eyes not wholly of this earth. The hair on my arms rose. You now know I speak truth. Which calls back to the first time she interacted with the queens and was like, my power is truth or something.
Yeah.
Which, one, I'm trying to imagine that scene.
I know. With
her eyes being different and she's kind of like spooky.
Yeah. And
holding an orb. And her body is made for the orb. It's a whole thing.
Maybe she sounds like Mrs. Doubtfire. Look at my orb.
That's got to be it. There's no other way.
No.
But that was like impactful and starts to show like the power of more. Like we hear about it a lot.
Yeah.
We hear about how powerful she is and how she was like, had a lot of bitters because of her power and etc.
Yeah.
But she hasn't really done a whole lot yet.
Mm-hmm.
And this is an interesting glimpse.
Yeah,
into it all.
I love her.
Me too.
But then
Rhys shows him Valaris.
He does. He tells him a little bit. Mm-hmm. Shows him. And the way the like visual was described was just so
lovely,
so pretty in my brain.
I know, and it's as if Rhys is flying over the city. Like it's the perspective
of
him flying through, and he loves it so much. Feyre talks about how there's like, I don't know how the orb portrays it, but there's a sense of love behind it as well. And then the queens are like, we need to deliberate. Yeah. We appreciate your show of trust, but we have to go talk with the other queens.
Who's to say this is not some grand manipulation?
Right. Nesta's pissed.
Of course.
Again. Nesta is angry.
I do not blame her.
No. These queens are freaking idiots. But Nesta's really angry. She starts like berating them, but then it turns into begging. Yeah. She's like, please save our freaking lives. Please. Like, there's so many people here. What are you going to do? Just leave us. There's no way you can get ships, like enough of them to carry us to the continent. She's pissed. And in that moment, Cassian.
I know.
He approaches her, stands by her side, gets close. She doesn't even push him away. And he says something along the lines of like, 5,000 years ago, I fought by the humans and I'll do it again.
Yeah.
Like, I'll protect you.
I'll protect you and your family and your people. And then she cries.
She does.
And he wipes a tear from her face.
I know. She doesn't even get mad.
She doesn't even flinch away.
No.
I love Cassian.
Me too. I love them all. And then the queens leave.
They do. These
but
bitches.
But also in all of this, Rhys hasn't said a word.
Yeah.
But what's there, Sarah?
He's been staring.
He's
under this friggin' chair from the
Golden
Queen.
Golden Queen.
And there's a box.
Yeah.
There is sad about a box under the chair.
What is it? It's a lead box.
There's a lead. It's a lead box, and there's a letter in it.
Yeah.
On top of whatever is in the box. What could it be? We don't know.
Nobody knows.
Could it possibly? Weird. Who's in the box?
Rhys. Just. I was thinking of our TikTok. We're idiots. Are you quoting?
I sure am.
Okay.
Somewhere.
What do you got?
So this is a letter from the Golden Queen.
Right.
We're on page 555.
Yes.
And the letter says, I read your letter. About the woman you love. I believe you, and I believe in peace. I believe in a better world. If anyone asks, you stole this during the meeting. Do not trust the others. The sixth queen was not ill.
Yeah, ominous. My question. Why'd you bring it? If you're asked, tell them you stole it, so the queens know you have it on you. Why?
Yeah, I don't know.
Or they didn't know and you're like, oh yeah, I brought it accidentally. Oops.
I was wondering why my pocket was so heavy with this lead box.
Anyway, that's kind of weird.
I didn't think about that.
Yeah.
Maybe they were actually considering giving it to them. I doubt it. No. After everything else that happens later.
Do they just wear it on them all the time?
Maybe.
It's constantly
Maybe that's how they protect
good old
it.
Goldie.
Good old Goldie.
But nonetheless, they get the book. It's the second half.
By the way, the second half of the book is under the letter.
Right. Sorry. I spoiled it. And this time, Feyre, they don't need Feyre to unlock it because it's not attached to any specific magic.
Yeah.
And she says that it's madness. Like, if the other book were, I don't know, joy.
Yeah, something like
chaos. This one's madness, like dark.
Yeah.
It feels very different, the vibe of this half. And before they leave, Rhys talks to Nesta and Elaine.
Yeah.
And he's like, listen, my home is your home, if you so choose. And if you don't want to, then there will be guards.
Yeah, I'll send immediately a unit of his soldiers.
And they won't be seen. They'll take care of themselves. But one will come to this room every day and check to see if you want to come to Valaris.
Yeah. And the second you say the word,
you're coming, which is so sweet. Mm-hmm. And man, oh man, I wish they took him up on it.
Nesta leaves it up to Elaine.
I know. And she's married to the Fae hater.
Well, she's not married yet.
Well, engaged. She's betrothed.
Yeah. I think she considers it, but then she's like, no.
I can't.
I'm going to get married.
My future husband wants to murder you. I can't. I'm sorry.
Sorry. So they stay.
They do. They stay.
The gang goes back.
The gang is back in town. I'm sorry. They go back to Valaris.
They do.
Give Amryn the second half because she's still working on decoding it.
Yep.
And she locks herself away.
She does.
She's like, bye.
Yep.
And freaking
2 days later. I don't know.
Well,
what were you going to say?
Reese and Moore go cord nightmares.
Oh, yeah. I forgot about that.
So they're gone.
Yep.
And Cassie and Az.
Oh, yeah.
Cass and Az.
What's just about to go down.
It's stressful.
There's a lot.
I know. But Cass and Az are like keeping Feyre company.
Yeah.
And she mentions this to Reese, and it's like, they don't have to freaking do this. Like, I bet they have better things to do. And he's like, I know them. If they are there, they want to be. Like,
yeah.
Not only are they protecting you, but they're spending time with you. Yeah. I love you. Which is so sweet. And shows more so when Cass and Feyre just go to a symphony.
They do.
They just go on a casual little friend date to go see a symphony. Feyre's never seen one. And they talk a little bit about Nesta. And Feyre's like, thank you so much for saying that to Nesta. Yeah. It means more than you could ever know. She's complicated.
Uh-huh. And Cassian's like, oh, she doesn't really seem to care about anyone but Elaine.
Yep.
And Feyre tells him some things about Nesta.
Mm-hmm. What does she say? You have it written down?
I do. Feyre says, I think Nesta feels everything, sees too much, sees and feels it all, and she burns with it. Keeping that wall up helps from being overwhelmed from caring too greatly. Which, I don't know. Hearing that, I dug on Nesta a lot in the first book. Like, I don't know. She's not my favorite, but I feel like she has redeemed herself a little bit in my brain.
At this
point.
A
little bit. For now.
Yeah, I don't want to say too much.
Yeah.
Because it'll rest the series. But I don't hate Nesta.
Yeah.
She's definitely complicated.
Yeah,
and
for sure.
The way that they're starting to build her in this book, I'm like, I can't say anything about it.
Yeah.
But it's so good.
It's
so good. So that all goes down, and then, they're talking about Nesta, and then all of a sudden,
they're standing by the river while
they're standing by the river. Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, I know.
Freaking, like, the river starts rippling.
Yeah.
And Cassian immediately, like, gets into fighting stance, and he flicks out his siphon, and he is suddenly in armor.
Well, yeah, they look up and see, like, a black cloud coming for them, and he's like, there's no Illyrian units that know about Valaris.
Yeah.
And that's when he puts his armor on. And
yeah, they felt some sort of tremble. Feyre didn't really notice it, but Cassian, noticed something before they even saw stuff.
Yeah, there was a tremble, but then they looked up and saw
just a black cloud coming for them.
Black moving cloud across the sky.
Yeah. And
Cassian tries to take Feyre to the townhouse, but she, of course, because Feyre doesn't like to listen to anybody.
No.
She won't go.
He sends her. He can't really leave at that point. He, throws up a crazy shield, and it's Hybern soldiers.
Yeah.
Akin to the Etor, and he's with them.
Yeah.
Good old Etor's alive.
Oh, yeah. The Etor.
Why didn't we kill him?
Because they couldn't. He disappeared with Jurian's finger in his eye.
No, he showed up to try to kill Feyre, and Az tortured him. Why didn't you just kill him?
Oh, yeah.
Instead of send him back as a message to King of Hybern.
Yeah.
Clearly the king doesn't need a message.
True.
I'm just saying.
I know.
The Etor's back. And he came with a bunch of freaking flappy guys.
He also drops the Golden Queen
on a lamppost.
On a friggin' lamppost.
This is
and
so
skewers
brutal.
Her body.
I know. And she's not dead yet.
No, she's still twitching.
It's so upsetting.
I know.
It's so upsetting. So clearly the queens gave him up. Like, this was a sign that the queens gave him up.
Yeah, the Etor even says, regards of the mortal queens
Yeah.
and Jurian.
Right.
So they're obviously working together.
And all of these creatures have the chains that repel magic on, so they can break through Cassian's shield. And so as all that's going down, Feyre finally starts to run away.
Yeah.
And Az is coming.
Yeah.
Amren's across the town.
Which,
doing her
Amren,
own thing. I know. That'll come.
I know.
That's wild. And they're all murdering.
Yeah.
Left and right.
Yeah.
They're just fucking these winged beasts up. But then Feyre, on her way to the townhouse, notices that the rainbow is unprotected. They haven't covered that part of the town. And she sees, like, a shop owner who's fighting back. Just a
She's
fae.
surrounded.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But she's trying to smack him with, like, a broom or something. I don't remember what they said.
Yeah.
So what does Feyre do?
Feyre.
This is wild.
Down the rainbow. Just murdering. Like, slicing heads off.
Well,
first, and then she gets to the river.
Yeah.
So she kills 6 soldiers on the way to
Winnowing.
the river. Yeah. She's
Yeah.
like, shink, 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 shink.
Being shadows.
Yeah.
Slapping them.
And then she gets to the river.
This is crazy.
And she friggin' uses her powers.
She becomes the Cedra, is how she describes it.
Yeah.
Like, she is the water.
Does. Becomes the Cedra. And makes some friggin' wolves.
Water wolves. Just starts trampling bitches with wolves.
Yeah. And like drowning them.
Yeah.
With her wolves.
Right. And then when they start flying away, she starts sending up falcons and like other winged creatures.
And drenching them.
And drenching them or drowning them in the air. But if that doesn't work, freezing the water that's on them until they shatter when they hit the ground.
Yeah.
Like, Feyre's going off.
Yeah.
She is popping off right now.
She is a badass.
You know, I'm not useless anymore. I'm going to defend my people, my home, and y'all aren't going to take it from me. I just got it.
Bitches.
You assholes. And then the Ator starts leaving.
Yep.
She sees
She
him.
spots him. And
she's
no one
like,
else does.
You're mine.
She's the only one that sees him.
Mm-hmm.
She's panicking a little bit, I feel like.
She has
a
vendetta.
He cannot get away.
Well, she has a vendetta against the guy.
Well, yeah,
He
of course.
is an asshole.
Absolutely.
He's done a lot of bad shit.
He needs to go away.
Needs to perish. He should have been dead already, guys. Reese, come on. So Reese is like calling through.
Yeah,
the
Reese
bond.
appears in Valaris finally and is like, "Where are you, Feyre?"
And she shuts him out.
She's like, "Nah, dude."
She shields
tells him,
Reese, of all people.
Yeah. She tells him I'm exactly where I need to be and then throws her wall up and goes after the Ator.
Into the sky.
Into the sky. Right above the Ator.
Yeah. She lands on top of him.
Yep.
And starts freaking grabbing him with fire.
She puts some arrows into his wings first.
Yeah.
Ash arrows.
Yeah. Ash arrows.
And then she turns into fire.
Turns into fire and then
gives
starts
him a big old
stabbing
hug.
him. She starts stabbing him with an Illyrian blade and says, "This is for Reese, this is for Claire, this is for me," as she's stabbing them.
Yep.
Him, not them.
Yeah, and the one for Claire, she made sure to twist the blade while it was in his ribs, which made me happy.
Yes. I'm a mess today. Sorry
You
about
really are.
And then the Ator is obviously gonna die.
Yeah,
they can't fly
they're
anymore.
free falling.
Yeah, free falling.
And she whispers sweet nothings into his ear.
Yeah.
I'll see you in hell, bitch.
I love this. This is such a powerful moment for Feyre.
Yeah.
And it's such a symbol, too, to the people of Valaris. Like, Feyre Cursebreaker will protect us.
Yeah.
And as soon as, like, almost, whoa. Right as they hit the ground, Feyre winnows.
Yeah, I think
away.
she says, like, as soon as she can count the stones on the sidewalk or whatever, she winnows away, right?
Yeah.
As he splats on the ground.
He explodes. There's just scraps of him. Like, it's barely anything left.
Yeah.
And Reese shows up almost immediately.
All shadowy and beautiful.
All glorious. And he calls her Feyre Cursebreaker, the defender of the rainbow.
I know.
And he can tell that she's, like, on the edge of losing her shit. Because she just exploded the Ator and murdered a whole bunch of people. And she's looking at the scraps like, dear God.
Yeah.
And so he just embraces her.
He holds her.
And she says he, like, holds me until I can move on or whatever. I don't know what exactly she says.
Yeah. I love them.
Sweet.
But then, Valaris is secure.
Yep.
They're working on...
They're all working on rebuilding different parts of them by themselves. At one point during all of this, Rhys comes over to tell Feyre about how Amren was killing guys.
Uh-huh.
And how she was just putting illusions in their minds. They were like, she's like, do you want to talk about it? You're very excited.
I have a quote written down, but I don't want to read any more quotes.
You can read it.
Okay.
Is it about what I'm about to say?
It's about Amren and her power. It's probably just describing her power.
Okay.
Honestly.
About the illusion part?
Probably.
All right. Well, then I can wait.
Let's see. Yeah.
Okay.
With her, this is on page 573. With her dark power, she had spun illusions straight into the soldiers' minds. They believed they had fallen into the Sidra and were drowning. They believed they were flying 1,000 feet above and have dived fast and swift for the city, only to find the street mere feet away and the crunch of their skulls. The crueler ones, the wickedest ones, she had unleashed their own nightmares upon them until they died from terror, their hearts giving out.
Dope.
I know.
Amren is a boss.
I know.
Feyre
also, spotted her at one point and said, all she was doing was pointing her tiny hands at people and they were dying. Yeah. I'm like, that's amazing.
I have so many thoughts that need to be talked about at some point. Let me just make a very small note here.
All right. You do that.
But yeah, Rhys lets her know that.
Yeah. Then they're, trying to make a plan for what's gonna happen next.
Yeah, they talk about how they need to retaliate. We can't just let this go by the wayside.
They need to go to Hybern and, do something about this cauldron.
And then they're worried about, who's gonna protect Valaris while we're gone. And Amren's like, I'm the only one who could stand a chance of keeping it at bay until someone can arrive.
By myself, yeah.
And Rhys feels guilty about having exposed Valaris, and it feels like he doesn't deserve Feyre. And Feyre tells him, we deserve each other and we deserve to be happy. And then before they're getting ready to head, Amren has cracked the code of the Book of Breathings, not breedings.
I think Feyre and Rhys got that down.
They cracked that code. And essentially tells them that Feyre has to touch the cauldron while saying some stuff.
Yeah.
And she translated it all, wrote it down for her.
Yeah.
She has to just chant something, touch it. No big deal, right?
No big deal.
No big deal at all. That's
but also, easy. The two halves of the book absolutely cannot touch.
Yeah, or else you're going to create a crazy magic blast that can attract not only the King of Hybern, but older, creepier creatures.
Yep.
Yeah. No big deal, though.
Yeah. Amren says that the blast of power will be felt in every corner and hole in the earth. So, don't... Feyre, just for once, listen to someone's warning and don't do that, okay? Good job, sweetie.
Well, I feel like we'll get to it.
Yeah.
But they make a whole plan. They decide that Cass, Morn, Rhys, and Feyre are all going to go. Everyone but Amren. I could have just said that. And that Rhys has to stay away because they'll be able to...
You said Reese's.
Reese's Pieces has to stay far enough away to where the king can't detect him.
Yeah.
And
he's like, wait, you expect me to stay behind while my mate goes in to sure death?
Yeah, but he also gives Feyre the choice.
Yeah.
He says it's up to you.
Of course.
Obviously, every time. And she still has a moment of wow, he's giving me choice.
Yeah.
She still can't I did write this quote down for a reason. I was not going to read it, but this one was good.
Okay.
It was very empowered boss ass bitch vibes.
Love that.
She says after he gives her this choice of this very dangerous Mitchin.
Dangerous Mitchin.
She says, if I hadn't been already in love with him, I might have loved him for that. For not insisting I stay, even if it drove his instincts mad. For not looking me away in the aftermath of what had happened yesterday. And I realized how badly I'd been treated before. If my standards had become so low, if the freedom I'd been granted felt like a privilege and not an inherent right. And I was like, snaps. Yes, girl. Preach.
Yes.
Say your piece.
Absolutely.
You do have an inherent right to your own person.
Absolutely.
I can't with it. Freaking Reese out here breaking hearts and
mostly
my
mine.
Heart. And then before that night, before they leave,
yeah,
they have a sleep.
They do, indeed.
And Favor's like, oh man. We've been hanging out in my room, but, like, is Reese going to keep his own room like Tamlin did?
Yeah.
To have his space. And she, like, runs into Reese.
Uh-huh.
And he's like, so your room or mine? Just tell me. I don't care. But I need to move clothes. And she's like, wait, you don't want your own space?
And he's like, don't you want your own space?
And he's like, no, unless you want it.
Yeah.
And
again, giving her the choice.
I know. So they move into Reese's room because it's bigger.
She's like, your bed is bigger.
Yeah.
More room for activities, if you know what I mean.
And when they go in, what does he pull out?
Oh, his mother's ring.
I know.
And they talk a little bit about it.
Mm-hmm.
And he asks her if she wants to wear it.
Mm-hmm.
And she's like, well, yeah, but...
You probably shouldn't do that right now.
But,
going into the Humber.
You gonna let me walk into the King of Hybern's castle or whatever? Everything is a castle.
There's castles everywhere. You get a castle.
How would it look if I walked in there, wearing a ring from Night Court?
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, yeah, good point.
Yeah, fair.
She's like, I'll wear it after.
Yeah. She does say, though, after all this is said and done, I want it all. I want the, officiated bond. I want a wedding.
Marriage,
I want a party. I want everything with you.
Everything.
We're just sobbing. This episode should be titled Sobbing. That's a terrible title.
It really is bad.
We'll find a good one.
We got a way to... Whoa.
I'm sorry?
We gotta find a way to spell out. That should be the title.
It'll totally translate.
Any
hoodles. So they're getting ready to go the next morning.
They are.
And Amryn warns Feyre about the cauldron. She's like, the Book of Breathings are scary, sure. Mm-hmm. But the cauldron is going to be way worse. Just know that.
Yeah.
No big deal, though. And Cassie and Az promise that they'll protect Feyre with their lives.
Yeah. I think Cassian does first, and then Azriel's like, yeah, me too.
Obviously.
Oh, but
well, he's not one to speak up first.
Well, obviously. Oh, I love him.
I know.
That should be the title. I love him.
I love them. All of them. But him. We do say him a lot.
Yeah.
Although more? Come on. Amryn, come on.
Come on.
I love
them all.
Anyways. They then winnow.
They do.
Away to Hybern.
They say... Oh, no. Never mind.
And you know what,
mind.
Sarah?
What?
It is a castle.
It is.
It's a bone-white, crumbling castle.
Yeah.
So you were right about that.
Finally.
I'm proud of you.
I finally got it right, guys.
I finally got my castle.
If you've made it this far, comment castle.
Yeah, I like that. Great.
So they get there.
Uh-huh.
And
they get
Feyre,
inside.
Before they even go inside, can, feel the cauldron.
Yeah.
And she says it's
strong,
ancient, and cruel. Without allegiance to anyone but itself.
Yeah.
And the book is whispering to her from her jacket. Take me home. Take me home. Ah. I don't know why the book turned into Bean.
Also, that's my dog, for context. And that still doesn't help you at all, because that's a weird fucking thing to say.
Weird. Yep.
You make voices for your dogs, right, guys? If you don't, you should.
It can't be only us.
No, it's impossible.
There's no way.
What the hell was I gonna say?
I'm sorry.
Can someone tell me why You have to be that someone.
I'll try.
Why is Feyre carrying both halves of the book?
Well, maybe because she has to have them.
Sure, but can you not, like, wait till you're doing it?
I mean, what difference would it make?
I guess. I don't know. It just sounds like a bad idea when you're explicitly warned to keep them separated.
I mean, it's Feyre.
I know.
And
she's getting better, but she's still got her underlying silliness.
In the long run, it wouldn't have made a difference.
She does have to have them when she's doing the thing.
Exactly.
Right?
Yes.
Or does she? Does she have to hold both halves?
I think so.
Well, that's the whole point of having gotten both. Okay.
Wait, but hang on.
They had to get both halves, or else it wouldn't have worked.
But did they only have to have both halves so that Amryn could crack the code to figure out how to? Okay, but hear me out.
Okay.
You've sparked this in me. Feyre has to touch the cauldron.
Yes.
While she's reciting this thing.
Uh-huh.
How can she then also hold both halves of the book and not let them touch?
Yeah, that's a great question.
She'd have to hold them in one hand.
Uh-huh. Yeah, there's no possible way.
So maybe she doesn't have to have the book. Why did they bring the book?
That's a great question. See? This is my question.
Why? Now I need to reread the entire book and figure it out.
Entire book. Pick up on any weird clues.
Yeah.
So all of that to say, Cassian or what? Cassian and Az, not Oars, are heading into these tunnels, like scouting ahead, making sure to kill everybody.
They're killing all the guards
and coming back and they're like, all right, we're good.
Guards are dead.
On. Moore is escorting Feyre.
Yeah. And Feyre realizes in this moment that, like, that is for a reason, and it's that if... Oh my God.
It's fine.
If anything goes wrong, Moore is to, like, get her out immediately and leave Cass and Azriel.
Yeah.
And, I mean, go back for them, but get Feyre out.
Yeah. That is her purpose.
That stresses me out.
For sure. But then they find the cauldron.
They do.
They get to this room.
They're in a dungeon.
And the cauldron calls to Feyre. The book says, home, take me home. Some more.
No, it doesn't say take me home. Because it's home now.
Yeah, that's true.
It says, home.
Okay.
It said the book size.
Oh.
Home.
Oh, we're home.
Home.
Thank God. Yep. And then there's this description of the cauldron.
There is.
It's spooky.
Yeah.
I was going to read the quote, but I don't want to.
Okay, cool.
Unless you want to.
I mean, I had it written down, but I wasn't going to.
Okay,
I've read enough quotes. It's
fair.
Fine.
We're good. And then Feyre goes to touch it.
She does.
And is immediately overwhelmed.
Well, Moore rushes her a little bit, too.
Uh-huh.
She's
like, they don't have time.
We got only a couple minutes.
They plan this thing to the second.
Yeah.
So she goes to touch it and is immediately overwhelmed by the power of it.
Yep.
Like, it's just taken aback.
Yep. She says that, it feels like the map for all creation.
Yeah. Which, yeah.
Yeah.
It is.
Yeah.
If what the Fae say are true.
It's true.
And then the book starts talking to her and is like, put us together.
Yeah.
Be stronger. Put me back together to destroy the cauldron. Be a conduit.
Uh-huh.
Be the book and the cauldron.
Uh-huh.
It's giving her some crazy messaging.
I have written down. The book convinces Feyre to put the two halves together. Like she was told not to do. Under any circumstance.
Yep. Which she does. She did it.
Friggin' Feyre. Moore lunges for her, tries to stop her, but she's too slow.
Well, I don't know that Feyre had a choice in this.
No, I think that
she was overcome.
The book convinced her.
Right.
It was...
Well, convinced her and took control of her body.
Yeah. That's what I meant by convinced. Like
and the cauldron, too.
Yeah. The power of them took over. And
because she, looks down and her eyes aren't functioning. Uh-huh. Like, she can't read.
Yeah.
She can't move her body. She can't...
That's after she put the books together, though.
Sure. But I feel like immediately she's overwhelmed by the power of the book and the cauldron. Like, it's using her as a conduit to bring the two together. Yeah. So it's a problem, nonetheless. I don't really think she has much control. She was not prepared to be that overcome by the power of the cauldron.
Yeah.
In any case, she knows she memorized what she's supposed to say, but she can't get words out. She can't speak. She can't move. She can't do anything. And then who freaking shows up?
We hear some steps above, and Az finally, like, pulls her out of whatever...
Shakes her.
It's whatever... whatever trance she's in. That's the word I was looking for.
You got there.
And who walks in, Danielle?
Freaking Jurian, man.
How does Feyre know it's Jurian? It's the eyes.
The eyes, that's right. I was like, I should know this.
You should.
She saw one of them.
She did.
And it's back in his skull.
Thank God. It'd be creepy if he was wearing it on a ring.
He's like, I couldn't get it back in. But Jurian shows up, and man, this guy.
So dumb. Oh my God.
You liked it.
Sorry.
That's okay. I'm glad I could make you laugh. Anyways, Jurian's, I hate him immediately.
He's like immediately a dick to Cass.
I hate him.
Yeah.
He's like, oh, you still suck.
Ooh.
Essentially.
Yeah, basically.
He's talking smack.
Friggin' Daddy Reese shows up. I think...
Jurian asks about Miriam. Before Reese shows up. He asks more about her. And Moore says that Miriam is dead. And Jurian's like, don't freaking lie to me. And so she tells him that she was sent away with Drakon. And he'll never find her. Mm-hmm. The reason that this is important is because I feel like... We'll get to it, I guess. But his whole purpose in being brought back to life is to be like this symbol to the people, but also to exact revenge. Yeah. Like, Miriam fucked him over.
Yeah.
And so, of course, he'd be willing to be a pawn for the Hybern King of Hybern.
Hybern King of Hybern.
What were you going to say? Reese shows up?
Yeah, Reese shows up. I want to know why he showed up. Did he feel the, like, burst of power when she put the books together?
Probably.
Because the plan was not for him to show up until she called him through the bond.
Maybe he heard
tell him things were done.
Through the bond.
Maybe.
I mean, he had to have felt what she experienced with the cauldron in the book.
That was my thinking, yeah.
Because that was intense.
Whether through the bond or the burst of power that supposedly putting the books together would cause.
Right. / I'm sure... I mean, she also had talked about after the mating bond, she, like, left a window open for him in her mind.
Yeah.
So I'm sure that's open all the time now, like, between each other.
Yes, however, this castle is full of the blue stone, so wouldn't that, like, cut off any... I guess, never mind. I don't know.
I don't know if, like, they don't have it as worded as they do... after Jurian reveals himself, because it's all a trap. Like, they want them to feel like they can get in and out.
Yeah. You're right.
So I feel like they haven't yet safeguarded everything.
Yeah. My question, though, is just the blue stone. Like, I don't know that that's something that's magically, like, activated, or...
Yeah, I don't know.
It's just...
Is the castle full of blue stone?
I would assume so, because it's Hybern's stone.
Yeah. I don't know.
But I don't know for sure.
I feel like it protects whatever it's on from magic more than... Well, and I guess I don't know. I don't know either. Nonetheless.
Questions. I don't know.
That's a good question. Reese shows up. He's prepared to winnow them out of there.
Yep.
He wants to. But then all of their magic stops working. Mm-hmm. And
Jurian tells them that he was sent as a distraction while the... king got his wards up to stop them from leaving.
Mm-hmm. And he says something about how Amarantha, her spells to harness all their magic came from a book, the King of Hybern's book, but she doesn't know the, like, worst of them.
Yeah.
Or didn't know the worst of them, I suppose. And then frickin' the King of Hybern comes.
He does.
And the cauldron vanishes.
Yep. And when he comes in, Jurian shoots Asriel in the chest with an ash arrow that is covered in bloodbane.
I know. It's very upsetting.
The king tells them all that he can, like, control the bloodbane in Asriel's blood.
Yeah.
So if they don't cooperate with him, he'll send the poison straight to his heart and kill him.
One wrong move.
Yep.
And Az is dead.
Yeah.
So they go to the throne room.
Yeah.
And oh my God.
Yeah.
Am I angry?
Yeah.
Still.
Yeah.
I'm already pissed again.
Yeah. Same.
Because who the frick is there? Who is it?
First of all, the king's throne is made of human bones, which is disgusting.
That's problematic, for sure.
Ew.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they're old.
Yeah.
Like
weathered. They're brown and
they're probably from the friggin' war.
They probably are. All those human bones.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And then the friggin' queens come out.
No. Tam and Lucian come
out.
Oh,
yeah.
Tam and Lucian come out of the shadows. And Feyre is shook.
Yeah.
To her core.
Yeah.
All of them are shook.
As was I the first time I read this.
I know. This time I was like, you sons of bitches.
Yeah.
Come to find out, they've made a deal with the king.
Yep.
And this deal is that Tamlin will let the King of Hybern use the Spring Court to enter into Prythian, and also as a base while they destroy the wall.
Yep.
In exchange for Feyre. All for Feyre.
Yeah.
And in all of this, like, explanation, Lucian seems mildly remorseful.
Mildly.
He's still...
It gets a little worse as things go on, I feel like.
They all start acting different as things go on, but Lucian, like, from the beginning, kind of seems to avoid Feyre's eyes. Like, he knows this is wrong. The king also mentions that Jurian wanted... in all of this, he's some sort of like emissary to the queens. Like, he's been convincing the queens to work with the King of Hybern, and that's kind of his purpose in all of this. And what he wanted in exchange was to see Rhys die.
Yeah, and all of his court,
and to see all his friends. Yeah.
The king also just casually throws out there that him and Tamlin also agreed that Feyre would work for the king as soon as Tamlin had her back.
Yeah. I fucking cannot with Tamlin in this.
Yeah, to that, Lucian definitely, like, has a reaction. He's like, wait, what?
Yeah.
Excuse me?
Then, when we were talking earlier about Tamlin's, like, association with Amarantha, his dad, I'm like, well, that explains this.
Yeah.
If his family has a history of...
Yeah, but I think that, Ianthe also had a lot to do with the deal that they made. She, like, convinced Tamlin to use the king to get Feyre back because the king convinced her. Yeah. Yeah. It's all one big shit show.
Yeah, it for sure is. And after all this is revealed, Tamlin keeps saying, like, I'm taking you home.
Yeah.
You belong to me, essentially. And... he wants the king to break the bargain between Rhys and Feyre. This is before anyone realizes they've mated. And he keeps stepping towards Feyre. Like, he wants to touch her to get her to winnow away with him. And she keeps stepping back, obviously. And we all know, I mean, already all of their magic is shut down. And Feyre's trying to, like, talk to the magic that's holding their powers down. Like...
yeah.
I don't know. I don't remember what she says, but she's like, hey, it's fine. You don't have to bother me.
Yeah.
She's like sweet talking magic.
She's at first, like, yelling at it.
Yeah.
And she's like, maybe if I whisper sweet nothings to it, it'll listen. And it does.
It does. She winnows out of Tamlin's reach into Rhys's arms.
Doesn't she... and maybe it's a little later, I don't know. She winnows, like, Tamlin's about to grab her and she winnows... and he stumbles, and Rhys punches him in the face.
Oh, yeah. And then she gets into his arms.
Yeah.
And that's when everyone realizes the mate
they're
bond.
mated.
Yeah. Feyre refuses to go with Tamlin. And, obviously, because, you freaking butthole.
I know. Butthole.
Butthole.
Big, dirty butthole.
Truly. And the cauldron appears. In the middle of the room, the king summons it. It's here.
And the queens come in.
Yeah. I wrote this down just because it made me angry. the king, like, pokes at Feyre, like, what were you going to do with this cauldron? And she's like, I made no bargain with you. Because he says, you'll tell me eventually. But she's like, I didn't make a bargain with you. And he's like, oh, but you will obey your master. Mm-hmm. Speaking of Tamlin.
Yeah. Gag.
And then she tells Tamlin she's going to destroy him.
Yeah.
I'm like, you damn well better.
Absolutely.
But then the queens come in. Sorry.
That's okay.
And followed by the queens.
The friggin' sisters.
The sisters.
Nesta and Elaine.
Nesta.
They're like dragged in by the queen's guards.
They're bound and gagged.
Yep.
And dragged in.
Yep.
And nobody expected that.
Before they come in, Feyre does say that she will go with Tamlin if they let the inner circle go. If they let Rhys and all them go.
She does before that?
Uh-huh. Yeah.
Well, they obviously don't jump at that bit because they want to see Rhys die.
Yeah.
But yeah, the sisters are drugging.
Yeah.
And everyone's enraged by this.
Mm-hmm.
Even Tamlin and Lucien.
Yeah. They're like, this was not a part of our deal.
Yes. Yeah.
And this is where Yanthy comes in.
Yeah. Because
I don't know if it's talked about yet, but
it very close. Yeah, it is. I mean, first we find out about the Jurian sort of infiltrating the human realm and convincing the queens to help the King of Hybern by offering up immortality, essentially. And they want proof that it works. They want to see the cauldron in action, and so they're using Feyre's sisters. And the only reason they have the sisters is because of Feyre's relationship with Dianthe. In way back in the beginning of the book, Dianthe asks her like who she would want to be with for the rest of her life, and she mentions her sisters. Yeah, and like gives up too much information. And freaking Dianthe,
I hate this bitch.
I know, me too.
Oh, I want to kill her.
She uses against her. Tammy is outraged, and he tries to attack.
Yeah,
the king, but of course powers him. Yeah, magics the crap out of him, and then sends out just a bolt of magic into the room.
Yeah,
the king. Yeah, and Rhys protects Feyre, and Cassian protects Az, who's on the ground with a freaking ash dagger through his chest.
Yeah, he wraps him in his wings. And poor Cassian.
His wings are shredded.
They are shredded to bits.
This is just too much.
It's terrible.
It's terrible. I was so stressed. Again, and I had read it already.
Same. Same.
Yeah. Cass's wings are shredded. Az has a freaking dagger in his chest. Nobody's doing okay.
No one is okay.
Mor tries to retaliate, and when she does, the king shoots poison through Az.
Yeah.
He screams in pain.
Yeah, she stops.
She immediately drops her weapons. Yeah.
I won't do that again.
And everyone is like held back by his magic while Elaine is the first to be brought to the cauldron.
Yep. She gets shoved on in.
Yeah. She gets shoved on in. And
she's not in there for very long.
No. And then they just like bath. Dump her out.
Yeah.
They don't even lift her out. They're just like, get out of there.
I don't even think anyone in particular dumps her. I think
it just
tips on its own.
It's like, here you go.
And she's washed up.
One human for one fae. You're welcome. And that's the cauldron.
Yeah.
And
also beanish.
And the first person to do anything is Lucien. He runs over and puts his cloak on her.
Yeah.
And he's like,
don't just leave her there.
Yeah. And she doesn't really want anything to do with him. She's horrified, obviously.
Can you imagine?
But she's like outstandingly beautiful and
yeah, of course.
Obviously fae.
Yeah.
But then it's Nesta's turn.
It is indeed.
And of course, they're all outraged. Nesta's screaming and fighting.
My thinking in this too is like, okay, the queens wanted proof that it works. It worked.
Once.
Why do we have to prove it again?
To be assholes.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
But come on.
I know.
Turning one is asshole enough. Come on.
I know. But they had to make a point also, like a power play.
I know.
But it's Nesta's turn to take a bath.
It is. She is fighting too.
She freaking tooth and nail.
Cassian is unhappy, but he can't do anything.
He like, even in his very injured state,
Very.
like, anytime he hears her scream, tries to reach for her. Yeah. And, like, very, I know. So what's going on there?
Yeah, I don't know. Feyre says it's like the unanswered promise that he made to her. Yeah, but I'm like, is there more?
From the beginning, since they met each other,
there's been something there.
Something for her.
Yeah.
Like, you know, his new opponent, but also he got the hots for her.
Yeah, for sure.
But she fights tooth and nail. As she's being forced into the cauldron, she's like scraping the sides. Mm-hmm. She's screaming, kicking, anything she can do. And as she's submerged, she points to the king, a finger to the king, as if to say, I'm going to fucking kill you.
Yeah.
I'm bitch. Like, yes, Nesta.
You absolutely better try.
I want to read this quote. This is one I actually want to read.
I gotcha.
It's on page 607 and 608.
I have this written down too. I bet it's the same. It's gotta be because the pages.
Yeah. So Nesta sprawls out of the cauldron, and Feyre says, I knew that she was different. From however Elaine had been made, Nesta was different. Even before she took her first breath, I felt it. As if the cauldron in making her had been forced to give more than it wanted. As if Nesta had fought even after she went under, and had decided that if she was to be dragged into hell, she was taking the cauldron with her. As if that finger she'd pointed was now a death promise to the king of Hybern. Nesta took a breath, and when I beheld my sister with her somehow magnified beauty, her ears, when Nesta looked to me, rage, power, cunning. Nesta's a bad bitch.
I know.
Dude.
I know.
Oh my god.
I know.
This shit's crazy. And then all she does, she doesn't even take a step. She doesn't wait. She runs to Elaine.
She gets Elaine from Lucian.
Shoves Lucian out of the way.
She's like, get off my sister. And Lucian and Elaine, they just stand there.
Yeah.
They're staring at each other.
And Lucian says, you are my mate.
You're my mate.
Another mating occurrence.
I know.
I'm sure Elaine's really stoked.
Yep. And Nesta's pissed. Mm-hmm. She's like, is no such thing.
Absolutely not.
No, sir.
Yeah, that's like a crazy thing to say right after all that went down.
Yeah.
You could have waited.
Yeah,
I don't know. Like, Lucian,
give it 5 minutes, buddy.
Read the room.
But then the king is like, all right, queens, who's up first? Maybe you'll get a handsome fae mate of your own.
Yeah.
There's mates being thrown around everywhere.
Yeah, but before they started dipping queens in, Rhys is about to make a bargain with the king.
Yeah.
He's about to throw himself on the line. Mm-hmm. And Feyre stops him. She, like, drops to her knees sobbing and explodes with magic.
Yeah. She decides in her brain before all of this that the inner circle doesn't need her. Mm-hmm. They needed her to nullify the cauldron, and she failed. And so...
she's putting herself on the line.
She is.
But I feel like that she believes that to be true in some way, but also knows that they do.
Well, yeah.
Like, you know, like she knows that they value her and stuff. Yeah. But I'm sure it is like a huge point of feeling like a freaking failure.
Yeah.
But in any case, she drops sobbing, explodes with magic. And when that's over, she stands and acts as if she just is like coming to. Mm-hmm. As if she's out of a haze.
Yeah.
And is like, Tamlin?
Tamlin, is that you?
Don't let him take me. Don't let him take me again.
Yeah.
Save me. This breaks my heart.
I know.
It breaks my heart.
It also, to me, like the whole end of this book is very reminiscent of Throne of Glass to me, with the like cunning, like she's always one step ahead. There's plans here. Yeah. Like they kind of knew what they were doing.
The end of this book for sure. I feel like Feyre is transformed now and is thinking very strategically. Yeah. But also with her heart, like leading with her heart and just protecting. But I could certainly see that, like one step ahead. This is just a big tomfoolery. Mm-hmm. And everyone's in on it. When she exploded with magic, she said that she let out like a certain glow in hopes that only Rhys would see it, so he would get the message, and he does. Yeah. All of the inner circle does. But she essentially fools the king into thinking that Rhys had her under some mind control and that she's now free of it. And Tamlin convinces everybody. Is like, take me. Break the bond.
Yeah. She also was using that burst of power as a distraction to break all of the wards.
Oh, yeah,
so that they could get out with her sisters.
Yes. You're right.
And that's the message that Rhys got.
Yeah.
Basically.
Yeah. And as she's telling the King of Fireburn to break their bond, Rhys is pleading like, no.
Yeah.
And it's like very convincing. Even I was like,
I know.
But
I know.
No, don't do that.
I know.
Moore and Cass seem to understand, though. They, like, give her a look as if they do. Mm-hmm. And then...
Rhys is like, how did you get free? Like, playing the part.
He is.
He's playing along.
The nose is what had me thrown. I was like, is he... I mean, I'm sure he's actually afraid that somehow the king would break the mating bond.
Right.
But really, they're just talking about the bargain. They're making it seem as if the mating bond is like a ruse.
Mm-hmm.
But the king, sure enough, breaks the bargain.
He does indeed.
And Feyre feels like she's been split in half.
Yep.
And then the last 2 chapters, there's one from Rhys and one from Feyre.
Yeah. Yeah.
And,
well,
I'm sorry.
There's a little more before these last 2 chapters.
You're right.
Tamlin they leave. Like, they go. But also... Rhys and all of them leave as well, and they get the sisters on the way. So everyone gets out.
Moore grabs the sisters, winnows over to them.
Yeah,
and leaves.
Doesn't she punch Lucien or something? Or
I don't know if she does.
Push
She
him
just
out of the way?
Yeah, grabs him quick, winnows quickly, and then Lucien's like, "Get her back," because it's his mate.
Yeah.
And when Feyre isn't like panicked about the sisters having left, Lucien gets suspicious of her
sus.
immediately.
Yeah.
He's already like, bitch, you be playing.
I don't believe you.
And that's when the queens start lining up to take a bath.
And the youngest one is the one that goes in first. Mm-hmm. I don't know if that's important, but it happened.
That did occur. And the king also then realizes that the book is not there.
Yeah. The king is like, where is the book?
Because as soon as Rhys came in, he took the book from Feyre really stealthy.
I forgot to talk about that. No one noticed except for Feyre.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And the king is like, you had it. And Feyre's like, I guess you were mistaken.
Yeah. I'm dumb. I was in a trance. And he tells Tamlin that when he expects him to come back when the book is returned. Mm-hmm. And before they leave, Feyre tells the king, I will light your pyres myself for what you did to my sisters.
Yes.
And then they freaking leave back to the Spring Court. But yes.
Sorry, I don't know if this is important to say, but after the king breaks the bargain, Tamlin like rips Feyre's glove off to make sure that the tattoo is gone. And it is, and that's really sad.
It is important that you said that.
Yes, it is. It is indeed.
It's a good thing he tore off the left one.
Yeah.
To make sure that the bargain was gone.
Yeah.
You know, you have to be sure.
You have to be sure.
You can't just go around making assumptions.
You are nice and thorough, buddy.
Idiot. But then we flash to Rhys.
We do.
And they get to the townhouse, and
Amren's like, where the fuck is
Feyre? And everyone is fucked up.
Yeah.
Cassie and Az need healing. They need actual healers. Like Amren and Moore are trying to keep them okay until healers can get there.
Yeah.
Amren is demanding to know where Feyre is. Mm-hmm. And Moore gives her a play-by-play, quick rundown. She's like, so this is what went down. Shit hit the fan. And Rhys... in all of this, because Amren's like, go get her. Like, she's not anyone's spy. Mm-hmm. You need to go get her. She's your mate. And he's like, she made a sacrifice, but the mating bond is still intact. So we do know that. It wasn't the mating bond. It was just the bargain.
Yeah. He was like, the king didn't know how deep the mating bond was. Mm-hmm. So.
And then what do we find out, Sarah?
And then we find out that last night, before they went to the castle, they went and saw a priestess. And Feyre was sworn in as the High Lady of the Night Court.
I know. Chills again.
I know.
Just now. I wish I could show them to you. I could.
You don't need to. I believe you.
Yeah, she's the high lady, guys. We talked about how freaking the masochism of there being no high lady.
The friggin' masochism.
Misogyny. But is one now.
Yeah.
Which is very exciting.
Haha, Tamlin.
And then I think Moore or someone was like, so you're telling me that my high lady is being kept captive or something? And he's like, yep. They're like, well, what do we do next? And Rhys says, we go to war.
Yeah, I do have a quote that I want to read.
Okay.
Just real quick. I believe it's here somewhere.
I could be filling the silence, and I'm just watching you.
I'm
walking you.
Okay.
Okay.
Just kidding. This is not the quote I thought it was.
All right, well.
Never mind. I'm not going to read that.
Forget it. Nobody needed it anyways. But then we flash to Feyre.
Feyre's back in Springcourt. And Lucien is really suspicious.
Super
He's
suspicious.
making it clear.
Yeah, he's not, fooled.
Yeah.
And he asks how she broke free.
Mm-hmm.
And she's like, well, I saw Tamlin and remembered him and started pushing against the magic that Rhys had on me, which is not a very good story. I feel like Feyre could have maybe fluffed this a little bit, but Tam takes it, so it works on him.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Tamlin is like, all right, well, we're going to go do these things. And Feyre's like, no, let me be a part of things this time.
He says he's going to deal with the Ianthe. Or, make some things clear to her. Yeah. And she's like, you're involving me in all of that.
I'm going to be involved.
And he says he agrees.
He agrees they'll start over. And he realized while she was gone that he made some mistakes. I'm like, buddy, you did more than make mistakes.
You are the worst. And through all of this, no matter how much Lucien is suspicious, he keeps his mouth shut because he knows that his mate is on the line. Basically. I have a quote written down for some reason.
Okay. I wonder if it's the same one I have written down. I'm going to read mine real quick.
You could.
What page is yours on?
I don't know now.
Okay. I actually don't know what page mine is. I actually wrote it down.
624.
So. It's probably the same.
It's on page 624. Oh, yeah. Okay. I understand
sure it's
now.
The same.
So they're talking about you're home now, Tamlin.
Yeah.
And he goes, forever. And she goes, forever. And then she glances behind her to where Lucien stood in the gravel drive, his gaze on me, face hard, as if he'd seen through every lie, as if he knew of the second tattoo beneath my glove and the glamour I now kept on it, as if he knew that they had let a fox into a chicken coop and he could do nothing, not unless he never wanted to see his mate, Elaine, again. I gave Lucien a sweet, sleepy smile, so our game began. We hit the sweeping marble stairs to the front doors of the manor, and so Tamlin unwittingly led the High Lady of the Night Court into the heart of his territory. So good!
And that's the end of the book.
That is the end of the book.
We're leaving on another cliffhanger, I feel like.
We're leaving at a very good point. This book is just so freaking good. That was a chef's kiss.
Friggin' kiss.
If you didn't see or hear it.
I'm obsessed. So good.
I'm obsessed. Y'all, I'm obsessed. So good.
Good.
It's such a good book. We gotta rate it.
We gotta
do our reviews. Five.
Absolutely
5 out of 5. Absolutely.
I have no words.
No.
This is one of my all-time favorite books ever.
Same. I was gonna say that. Not only is it my favorite book of the series.
Yeah, for sure.
But it's just my favorite. Mm-hmm. Maybe not it's up there.
It is up there. Yeah.
It's
top
so good.
3 for
it's
sure.
So good. It's insane character building, insane world building. Like you felt like you had crazy world building in ACOTAR, but this is like a new world on top of the world that was in ACOTAR.
Yeah.
The characters are top notch. I think I'm obsessed with them. I want to be all their friends. And I'm in love with all of them too.
Yeah, same.
I think it's just so good at drawing you in, making you love the characters, care for them.
Yeah.
And hope for the best. And the camaraderie they have. The Valaris. I'm obsessed with the Valaris.
I want to be there.
Me too.
Immediately.
It's just so beautiful.
I think that is my version of heaven.
Valaris.
Yeah.
Sounds right.
And recent.
My sister sent me a bunch of pictures of Valaris and was like, which one do they look most like what you have in your head? I have to show you them because they're beautiful.
Okay.
But Valaris in my head is just magnificent.
Same.
All of it.
I would be really interested to see if we would pick the same.
Me too.
Picture.
I'm not going to tell you which ones I pick.
Okay.
But nonetheless, y'all, 5 out of 5 read.
Absolutely.
To me.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Roman Empire book for sure.
Yes. Yeah. I think about this book quite often.
Yeah.
If you want a more in-depth review, we'll probably do that on our TikTok.
Yeah, we will for sure.
And next episode, y'all, we're digging into ACOWAR.
We are digging into ACOWAR. We're going to be reading chapter 1 through 17.
1 through 17 of A Court.
Wings and Ruin.
I'm glad you finished that for me.
That's right.
Yeah,
I had to look.
So that'll be next week, you guys.
Yes.
We're digging back into ACOTAR again. More of it.
Excited.
Me too. I like this book coming too. I actually love the whole series, but
yeah,
it's 10 out of 10.
Yeah.
Sure. A good time. But thank you for listening.
Thank you.
And leave your comments on YouTube or TikTok or Instagram, Books and Crannies Podcast. You can tell us your thoughts about this book.
Please.
We really love to hear them clearly.
Let us know your rating.
Of the book. And also give us a rating on podcast platform. We'd really appreciate it.
Absolutely.
And tell your friends about us.
Yeah.
We appreciate the support.
We do. We love you guys.
We love you. Happy reading.
Happy reading. We'll see you next time.
Okay, bye.
Bye.